Hello, my children and my beautiful disciples and my new children who are coming here today. So, as y'all know, and as I told y'all multiple different times, yesterday was the last day of Genshin Impact lessons, and today we are going to be started on Honkai Star Rail lessons. So, Honkai Star Rails is the second game that Hoyoverse made a little bit after Genshin Impact, like a year later. So they made it like a second game, which is Honkai Star Rails. It came out a little bit after Genshin Impact came out. When Genshin Impact came out in 2021, Honkai Star Wars came out around like in 2020. My bad. When Genshin Impact came out in 2021, Honkai Star Wars came out around 2021. So a little bit a year after that. And I've been playing Honkai Star Wars for about it's been 4 years. It has been 4 years. I have been playing Genshin Honkai Star Wars for like 4 years. The same amount of time I've been playing Genshin Impact. So it's been like a long time. Long time since I played it. And I have a lot of characters on here. So I decided, since it's time, I'm going to teach you guys about Honkai Star Rails, the glory of it, everything else. So this whole thing is going to be teaching you guys for the first 2 hours, and then an hour we're gonna do the story mode, and you'll understand it. So when you download Honkai Star Rails for the very first time, bro, you guys know what's good then. Honkai Star Rails is a little bit more easier than Genshin Impact. And the reason that's a little bit more easier is because of a very special feature that I'm going to show you guys in today's lessons. So the thing we're going to first cover is the game's dialogue, everything else, the characters, how it should be. And then we're going to cover characters like way later down. This is going to be a long story, but a long kind of story than everything else. So it's going to be pretty good. So it's going to be fun and intuitive, and it might not be really all too bad. But this should be a little bit more interesting and basically a grand old time. So it's going to be pretty good. So yeah. What's up, Demon Sniper? First. Oh wait, that's the second thing. I didn't even put the first on this, but don't worry, I got it. But yeah, what's up, Demon Sniper? Thank you. Alright. Alright, so like I said, we're going to start. Sip. Thanks for the sip. Thanks, but that's only in the next page. But yeah, like I said, we're going to start Genshin Impact. Bro, relax. Head pets are good. I haven't really did head pets in a while, but that's gonna be later. But yeah, we're going to start Honkai Star Rails lessons today. I'm going to teach y'all everything I can. I'm going to teach you every single time of everything that I can. So Honkai Star Rails is a little bit different from Genshin Impact, but it's a lot more easier than Genshin Impact. And certain reasons. We're going to explain that a little bit later, so it's going to be a little bit time. And I really want to start right now to teach y'all everything. So we're going to get started right now because I'm excited to teach y'all. Alright, just have a little bit of sip, touch, and everything else. That's gonna be pretty good. But yeah, probably a little bit different, but it'll be work a little bit more. Alright, so this is Honkai Star Rails. This entire glory is Honkai Star Rails and everything else. There are some similarities to Genshin Impact, but we're gonna have to cover those a little bit later. So the first thing we're going to cover today, because I feel like it's time, the first thing we're gonna cover, because you know Honkai Star Rails are a little bit different, is what am I going to cover first? What am I going to cover first? There is a lot of things I can cover. Alright, so when I started covering Genshin Impact, I covered everything else. Alright. Alright, might be a little bit different, but they'll be able to work a little bit more. Alright. Alright, might be a little bit different than I thought it would be. Okay, so I should start about the origin of Honkai Star Rails first. So Honkai Star Rails, when it first starts, you play as a character known as a Trailblazer. You get to choose the gender of the Trailblazer. Male or female is completely up to you when you first start playing Honkai Star Rails. Once you choose your character, you do a whole bunch of story modes and you basically go on adventures around the universe. You travel around the universe, go everywhere you can, explore different worlds and universes, everything else you can, and it turns out pretty well. So Honkai Star Rails is actually pretty good, so a pretty fun and intuitive game. And there's a lot of different things in Honkai Star Rails that you can really do. It's very similar to Genshin Impact, but there are some non-similarities. Like for one, you can't really climb anywhere. You can't climb anywhere at all. You can't climb up to places, down to places. You basically can't really climb. On Genshin Impact, you can climb. You can climb literally anywhere place you want to. And that is going to be a little bit weird. Another great thing that is that you can still run pretty fast. And you can't really see your stamina, but it's a little bit different. So don't really have to worry going a little bit more. But it might turn out a little bit better than I thought it would be. But it depends on how you do it. It might turn out really well. And another great thing about this is that in Honkai Star Rails, it's a little bit more easier to level up your characters. I'm going to explain that a little bit later, but the first lesson we're going to cover for today is... I think I'm going to cover how to fight people. I'm playing. The first kind of people thing we're going to cover is the elements. In Genshin Impact, there are multiple different types. There was only 7 types of elements. Dendro, Electro, Hydro. I'm about to send you some text. I want you to choose one. All right, yeah, sure. You can send it to me. I'll check it out. There are multiple different types of elements in Genshin Impact. There's Dendro, Cryo, Electro, Pyro, Geo, and Animo, and the rest. Ooh. A little bit more different than everything else. So it's actually pretty good. But like I said, the elements here are a little bit different than Genshin. The elements here are a little bit different than Genshin Impact. In Genshin Impact, there are about basically 7 elements because there's 7 archons. Here in... Sorry, Rose, I'm trying to do something with this cord. Here, it's a little bit more different, a little bit more time. In Genshin Impact, there are 7 elements, but in Honkai Star Rails, there's about 8 elements in total. I'm going to show you all 8 elements. Where is it? Where is it? Instructional guide. Nope, it wasn't that. Where is it? Bookshelf? All the books and tablets, like everything else. But yeah, no, it's not that. I'm going to show you every single... Alright, I'm going to show you a little bit more things that's a little bit more different. I'm going to explain everything else pretty soon. All these will be explained later, but I don't want to explain them right now because it's going to be a little bit different. Alright, so first of all, we're going to cover the elements. I'm going to show you all different elements, but I'm trying to find where it is. There is a book that can literally show you all the elements here, which are going to be pretty useful. I'm also explaining how everything works over here, achievements and everything else, but that's going to be a little bit after that. Like it was official communications, no bug report. All right, good. Thank you, man. I really appreciate you. All right, missions, gaming tools. Sorry guys, I'm trying to look for something right now. Where is it? Mission inventory, bookshelves, databank. All right, so we are going to explain a little bit more than we should. I don't remember where it is though. Is it assignments? Alright, so this is not what I wanted to cover. Alright, I was gonna show you the elements first because that's the first thing we're going to cover in Genshin Impact, but that's a Genshin in Honkai Star Rails. Because Genshin Impact has 7 elements, but in Honkai Star Rails is about 8 elements, so it's a little bit more different. But I can't find where I need it to be because I don't know where it is. I'm starting to look for it. Trying to see if I can basically find it. Okay, industrial guide. No, this is for later. Multiple games, navigation. Oh, here we go. Tutorials. My bad. All right. So we are going to get into the different kinds of elements that they are. They're basically here. And basically little tutorial guides and everything else, but people don't really want to look for all that stuff because it's a pain in the butt. All right. So where are they? There are many different types of elements and there's many different types of abilities and elements in Honkai Star Rails, but there are also many more other types of abilities and everything else. Each one is more different than the last and each one is more dangerous than the last. So we're going to cover those elements first because I want you guys to understand each element in Honkai Star Rails so I don't have any problems when y'all first start playing or when y'all do get to playing it. It's a little bit weird every single time. Yeah, there are a lot of things to cover in this place. It's gonna be so much. So for me to cover everything, I gotta go from the very beginning. So we start with elements first so I can instantly explain to you guys how everything works. Not really too bad. Alright, hold on. Alright, okay, I can't really explain every element the way it is right now because I can't really show y'all every element. Alright, we'll get back to them. I'll just show you the characters' elements. Alright, so every single element is a little bit different than it should be. So the one that the element represents is basically the path that they're on. In Honkai Star Rails, there's multiple different paths and basically elements that represent every single character that there is. There's the Harmony path, as you can see right now on the side. There's the Destruction path, the Remembrance path, the Abundance, Remembrance again, the Fertility, Erudition, the Hunter, and just basically the pathways. Each pathway is more different than every single hunter that is basically in Genshin. Each pathway in Honkai Star Rails represents the different kinds of character which pathway they take. The pathway represents what kind of abilities and kind of powers that they're gonna have for that pathway, like what they can do. For the hunter path, you're more basically hunting people and basically hunting them down. For their abundance path, those characters are good for healing and basically everything else. For the harmony path, those characters are one with everything and do a lot of serious damage. Each pathway is a little bit different. But right now it goes. Now I'm just going to show y'all this. There's multiple different pathways and basically everything else. Like the path of elation. Every pathway is more different than it should be, but each pathway is pretty much the same at how it should be. Depending on which character you get, each pathway is pretty simple to understand. But depending on how it goes, each pathway could be a little bit harder to understand. But yeah. I was going pretty good. I'm currently teaching Genshin Honkai Star Rails. So I gotta get used to it. But yeah. Each pathway is different on how you see it, as you can see right now. Because there's multiple different types of pathways and multiple different types of abilities and how everything goes. While each pathway is pretty much the same, each one is different. We have the path of preservation, which is basically pretty good. So I'm going to explain how each pathway affects multiple different characters and how every single pathway is different. So the first thing we're going to explain the pathway that's being explained is the pathway of destruction. If a character, basically in Honkai Star Rails, if you have a character in Honkai Star Rails who's on the path of destruction, those characters are very good with dealing a lot more damage. Those characters are great with dealing damage, attack, and everything else. If you have characters like that, if you have characters that have a destruction, which is literally a tower being destroyed and everything else, as you can see, a tower on fire on the side, those characters are characters that are pretty good with destruction and basically have a very high attack power. Those characters are pretty powerful and pretty strong. Those are pretty powerful and pretty strong. If you have a character who's a part of the abundance, those characters are really good with healing. Abundance is basically a character who follows the pathway of abundance, are people who heal very well, do a lot more healing damage, and can heal people without any issues, without any regulations or anything else. Those characters are the ones that can heal people a lot, make them a lot better, make them pretty good. So abundance and destruction are basically pretty much the same thing. One heals people with a huge amount of health, and one basically does a lot of damage while on the destruction path. Next pathway that we're going to talk about is the harmony path. While the harmony path is a little bit hard to explain because I don't really understand it all that much, I do know those of the harmony path are a little bit stronger than average. I'm trying to explain what the harmony path is, but explaining that's going to be a little bit more complicated than it already is. So I'm basically trying to explain the best I can. All right, I think it should be here somewhere. If I can't find it, it's going to be kind of hard to basically explain how it works. Yeah, nope, I can't find the harmony path, so I can't really explain it to you guys. It's hard to explain it when you can't really explain anything else. But yeah, the harmony path are basically people who are in tune with harmony and everything else, who are calm and collected. Mostly a kind of way to do it. But yeah, that's for the harmony path. The other paths, I can't really explain too much about them because I don't really understand them all too well. But I do know a good majority of these pathways are pretty good and pretty strong. But y'all didn't really come here to learn about the pathways. But for me to teach y'all pathways, you have to learn about that. But each pathway represents multiple different characters and what they're going to do. And if you get to choose the pathway that you're on, it's pretty easy. Well, I'm going to show you an example because I have a character right now that can show you each pathway. Switch. We're going to get to the switching thing later. The destruction path is basically ultimate attack, has 2 attack stats, and can heal all allies during hit. Destruction basically increases a lot of damage and everything else, making you very strong. Preservation path. The pathway that basically is protection. When you have preservation, you can basically make a shield around your opponents and everything else, and to keep you safe from any kind of attacks or damages that might come your way. In a way, preservation is just keeping people safe and protecting you and all your team members from any kind of attacks that's coming your way. The harmony path increases all break effects. I'm gonna explain what break effects are those a little bit later. Actually, no, I'm explaining now. Break effects is when you no, it's better if I show y'all. But increases all break effects of allies, causes all allies to generate super break, which is basically extra damage when you have super attack. And then come remembrance. Remembrance allows allies them to use true damage, like true damage and everything else. They do a lot more damage than everything it should be. It's everything hard. It missed messages. And remembrance is they built for that, so it makes things a little bit more easier. Each pathway of each character is different to how you go. If you have someone who's preservation, you're gonna have strong defense and everything else. If you have a character that has destruction, you're gonna have a character that can deal a lot of damage and a lot of other things. If you have a character with harmony, you're gonna have a lot of break effects and a lot of damage that you can be dealt. And if you have remembrance, well, you already know what's gonna happen to that. Each pathway is different, and each pathway works in many different ways. In total, there are multiple different pathways that you can choose from, but every character has a different pathway how it goes. And it makes it a little bit more easier. Now, on to elements. In this game, in Honkai Star Rails, there are a total of 8 elements. There's there's ice, there's wind, there's destruction element, there's the quantum element, fire, and lightning, along with harmony, which is also an element too. So in total, there are about 7 to 8 elements, just like Genshin Impact, but it's a little bit different. There's harmony, there's destruction, quantum, ice, fire, lightning, and I forgot what the other one was. But those are the different kinds of elements in Honkai. Oh, and also wind. Those are the 7 elements in Honkai Star Rails that each character has. I wonder to yourself, how is destruction an element? Well, it kind of is. In this game, destruction is an element because it does a lot of damage. So characters who have, like I said, characters who have destruction in their model or in their name can deal a lot of different damages and a lot of different attacks. It makes it a little bit more easier when you first start it. So you at least know that every single character in Honkai Star Rail is a little bit more stronger than they already be. When you first start Honkai Star Rails, like I said, each character is going to have a different kinds of elements and how you go. When you get started, you get a couple of free characters on your first try. You get a character like March 7th. You get a character known as Dai Hung. And these characters are pretty easy to build and also pretty easy to get into it. But we'll get into the builds a little bit later because it's going to take a little bit longer for me to explain everything else. Now we're moving on to break effects. Show an example of that. Alright, break effects are what you call when you deal damage to a certain opponent. And basically deal damage to them during a certain time. I'm going to show you this right here because it's a little bit more easier to show y'all than basically, you know, of it because it's like all over the place. Alright, break. There we go. This is what break effect is. As you can see, break effect is when you attack an enemy using the same type of attack as their weakness. So it's basically using the same type of attack as their weakness. There's many different types of break effects, and then how you do it, it does really good amount. So I'm going to show you this. You see right now, these are the elements known as break effects. There's fire break effects there's many different types of elements, and these are the elements I was talking about. There's physical break effects, fire break effects, ice break effects, lightning break effects, wind break effects, and quantum break effects. The break effects make it a little bit easier for when you first start fighting your enemies, so you can deal some serious damage to them. I'm going to give y'all an example of that in a minute. Let me show y'all. Alright, look at some enemies here. You see these enemies right here? They have different kinds of break effects, and I don't really have the characters. The break effects are on top of their heads, as you can see right here. There's ice, lightning, wind, physical damage, harmony, and fire for this certain enemy right here. You just need a character that represents that so you can do it. For me, I have 3 of those characters. So if I pick a wind character right now, I go over, hit them, and then boom, I activate their weakness. So when their weakness is activated in the beginning of the match, it makes it a little bit more easier for me to fight them. And I just feel, yeah, I'm doing pretty well. I'm just trying to teach. It makes it pretty easy for me to deal some serious damage to them when I first started fighting. So I don't really have to do all the extra miles and basically doing the damage. That's one of the differences between Genshin Impact and this game. It's mostly the break effects. When the break effects are triggered, you can basically deal some serious damage to your opponent and basically have them go down like that. It makes it pretty easy for characters to keep counteracting break effects, so we don't have to worry too much about it. As you can see, the break effects come in handy when you want to deal some serious damage to your party members and everything else. But it also makes it a little bit easier when you want to do it. When you're in a fight, you need to try your best to make sure you can hit the break effects, because when you do, it does a lot more damage than trying to take out their health, and it makes it a little bit more easier for you to basically take them down. So when you have a character that matches the break effects, as you can see what I'm doing right now, it does a lot more damage and makes things a lot more easier when you're in a fight. So you don't have to like keep fighting your opponent, keep hitting them, and all the other stuff, and try to do combos and everything else. As long as you get their break effect to go down and their special stats to go down, it makes it easy for you to keep attacking. Every single character, every single enemy in this game, it doesn't matter if it's a regular enemy or a powerful enemy, they all have a break effect. If you're able to hit their break effect, you'll be able to deal a lot more damage and do a lot more to the people around them. So it makes it pretty easy for you to deal damage left and right, so you don't have to like go all the way to keep dealing damage. That's what makes Honkai Star Rails a little bit different than Genshin Impact. While in Genshin Impact, while you're focusing on like enemies and everything else, you have to attack your enemies and everything else, you don't know what they're weak to. This way you can see what kind of weakness your enemy has, and then you can use the character that represents that character, and it makes it easier for you to keep attacking. So you don't have to like, you know, keep wondering or complaining whether or not which one's good, which break effect is great, all that other stuff. This kind of element is a weakness to them.
いつでも出陣できます。
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about this, guys. I'm currently doing something. Give me a second. But yeah, break effects are pretty useful when you first started in Honkai Star Rails. As long as you know what the break effect is, it makes it pretty easy for you to beat the enemies a little bit faster, so you don't have to keep spamming attacks and everything else. That's one of the differences between Genshin Impact and Honkai Star Rails. It's mostly how you fight the enemies in these games. You know how fast they can be or how weak they can be. That's the first thing I wanted to cover. Like I said, each enemy has a break effect on top of their head. All you have to do is look up, figure out which character that you need to basically beat them, and then boom, when you hit them with the break effect, it makes it a little bit more easier for you and makes the fight a little bit more faster. So it's a pretty good idea to keep understand what kind of enemies that you use. Like I said, there's many different types of elements and there's 7. Quantum, wind, ice, fire, lightning, harmony. These are the elements that you need to pay attention to. Like for real, pay attention to those elements, they're important. But yeah, that is how it works. So when you first start Genshin Impact, you have to be when you first start with Honkai Star Rails, I would recommend that you get the characters that you have the right way. It makes it a little bit more easier when you first get started. The break effects will make the fights a whole lot more faster, a whole lot more easier, and a whole lot more quicker, so you don't have to figure out which kind of element works for each enemy. That's one of the benefits of Honkai Star Rails. At least at the very least, when you get a break effect, you can look up what kind of element affects that enemy, and all you have to do is attack it, and then boom, it'll make the fight a little bit more faster. All right, on to the next thing. On to the next thing. On to the next thing. So, Honkai Star Rails has multiple different things you need to worry about, but the main thing you need to understand and incorporate is how every single little thing works. Finding treasure chests in Genshin Impact are a little bit more easier because you have a compass that can literally guide you to do it. But in Honkai Star Rails, you don't really have that. The treasure chests are pretty much easy to find because they pop up on your map. It lets you know when you're close to a treasure chest, it lets you know when you're getting close by, or it lets you know when you're like already close. It doesn't really pop up on your map though, but I do know that they have something for that. Let me check my inventory so I can help y'all find some things. Alright, so yeah. Next thing we're going to talk about is inventory. We're not going to talk about these though, because we're going to talk about those later on. This is things that you get from Honkai Star Rails. Honkai Star Rails is a little bit different from Genshin Impact in multiple different ways, but the main thing that's the difference is the constellations. As y'all know in Honkai Star Rails, as y'all know in Genshin Impact, when you wish on the banner multiple different times, you can get a slew of different kinds of characters from the banner. Not a slew of different types of characters, but you get like good kind of gifts from the banner. You get characters that you get the same amount of characters, you can upgrade their constellations. Here in Honkai Star Rails, you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to explain that a little bit later because explaining that's going to take even longer. That's going to be for like a different lesson, but we have time. Alright, the next thing, I already covered how break effects work and characters. The next thing I'm going to cover is, well, actually, there's not really much I need to cover. The next thing we're going to cover is characters. Not really characters in general, but like, you know, different characters that do a lot of good and a lot of damage. Wow, that's actually like a whole animated series that's being made right now. Usually. Alright. The next thing we're going to cover is going to be characters and everything else. But the main thing people want to know is weapon. Well, anything we're going to do, but we're going to cover weapons a little bit later because I want y'all to be surprised what I'm about to tell y'all. Alright. You already know about the break effects, so we don't have to really talk about that. You don't know about the enemy's different kind of weaknesses. It makes it pretty easy during the fight. The next thing we're going to cover is what should we cover next? It's like a whole things that we could cover. It's gonna be like all things we could cover. But what we're going to cover next will be how everything works right here. We're gonna cover this whole area right here. So Honkai Genshin Impact, you have pretty much a standard. You have a story Genshin Impact, the friends list, assignments was basically missions, and travel logs are basically travel information that you need to know what you're gonna do next or what kind of events are about to happen. That's what this is for, as you can see. There's a whole bunch of other stuff over here that can help you. There's also tutorials that can teach you about more about break effects and everything else. And there's also navigations that can guide you to a whole bunch of different places and everything else. And missions, game tools, and everything that you need for the games and everything else. And your inventory and team lineups. So pretty much the same thing as Genshin Impact, so I don't really have to cover too much. As long as you have a good grasp of the control panel in Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Wars will be pretty easy for you to do. Alright. The next thing we're going to cover is characters. There's many different types of characters and anti-characters and Honkai Star Rails. There's so many different types though. But each character, like I said, is completely different. And their pathways are completely different. If you have a character who has abundance, then you basically gotta have a great healing. If you have a character who does physical damage, you gotta have a character that can do a lot of damage. If you have a character who has electro, who has basically the path of a hunter, it's pretty much simple. Every single character has a different pathway, so you don't really like to look into it all too deeply because each pathway is different from one another. As long as you pick the right pathway for every character, you should be able to do a lot of good and a lot of bad. I get a lot of bad, so it makes it a little bit more easier for you to take care of everything else. On to that next note. On to the next note. On to the next note. The next note. This next note. On to the next note. Alright. So what we're gonna cover next is going to be I don't know if I want to cover it now. I want to cover artifacts a different day because artifacts are a little bit different here. Alright. Next thing we're going to cover is how everything works in these stories. How everything works, you know, basically everything else. And, you know, like the story mode. There are multiple different stories in Honkai Star Rails. When you first get started, you start off on a ship known... I'm going to show you the state that we start off on because it's like a whole map. Makes it a little bit more easier for me to show you. I'm going to show you real quick so you can have a good understanding of what's going on. When you first start at Honkai Star Rails, you start here known as the Herta Space Station. This is your first stop and the first place you go to when you first start Honkai Star Rails. Like I said, you wake up in Honkai Star Rails and you're allowed to choose between a male or a female character, and you wake up on Herta's ship. When you're on this ship, you can choose what kind of abilities you want to. You can basically choose how you want to do it. The first weapon you get when you first get here is a baseball bat, and I'm going to explain why that's important later on. When you first get to Herta's ship, you basically are like on the ship for like a long time, and you fight your first boss battle. DMs. All right, I'm checking. Yeah, get the. Where can I? That's a little bit. Hold on, give me a quick second. I'll explain everything else in a minute. Alright. So yeah, when you first get here, you first wake up, you end up on the Hurton space station. This is where your journey begins, but you're given two options. Uh, But yeah, sorry about that. When you first get here, you basically end up at the Herta space station. Like I said, this is the first place where you start your missions and everything else. This is literally the beginning of how everything is. You get your first boss battle and everything else. It's actually pretty good. You're given an option whether or not to follow the Astro Express or basically stay here. And the Astro Express is like a giant train. You're given a chance to either follow the Astro Express or stay on the Herta space station. If you choose to stay on the Herta space station, the story literally comes to an end, and that's it. You won't really get anything interesting. You can literally just stay there. But if you choose to follow the Astro Express, you end up on multiple different planets, like the second part of the story, Julio 5. This is where a whole bunch of stuff start from the beginning. This is where the true story mode starts. It's a pretty interesting boss battles and everything else, and you also get to experience a lot of cool different abilities. And everything else. It's a pretty cold planet, so you gotta be careful. After you're done here, you go to the next node known as the Ciencio Lafu. The Ciencio Lafu is a large giant spaceship inside of a city. It is so massive, like when you go inside of it, you'll see a whole bunch of different things. It's basically like it's like a large house. You can think of it like a large kingdom inside of a giant spaceship. That's how big it is. After you're done with the Ciencio Lafu story mode, you end up in Pentaconi, which is a whole different other story mode and everything else that continues on. This is third place that you go after Ciencio Lafu. When you're done with everything here in Pentaconi, the story modes and everything else, you hand over here to Enforus, which is a little bit more different, but it's a pretty good place to visit a lot. After you're done with Enforus, you come here to where we are right now in the story. Penaconi. Penaconi. Is that Penaconi? This is called Penaconi. It's a world filled with fun stuff and basically all kind of cool shit that you can basically come to. These is where we currently are at right now. This is where we're currently at right now. We already finished the Enforus story mode. We're currently here right now. So yeah, when you first start, you're going to start here at the Herta space station. Then second part, you're going to start at the Rulio 5. Then the Ciencio Lafu afterwards. And then you're going to go to Pentaconi. Then you go to a forest, and then you'll be starting right here. So the game is not really all the way far into the story, like not reaching the mid stages. We're still in a little bit of the early stages because there's a lot to do. We're already on the 4.0s. I'll get you Impact is already 6.6.0. So we're still in the 4.0s and stuff like that. So the game's not too far ahead. So you won't be gone too far. It makes it a little bit more easier for you guys to get around and everything else. So yeah, it's not really too far into the game. So yeah, I guess it's a pretty good thing that it's not too far into the game. Because if I hadn't been too far into the game, it would have been a little hard for all of you to catch up. But this is why it's a good thing, because at the very least, y'all don't have to go prepare a little bit more, and it's not too far into the game. You're only going to be around the 4.0s and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty good. Alright, so that's where you're going to when you first get started. So you don't have to worry too much about it. There's multiple other things we need to talk about as well, but that's just like the basic of everything else. But yeah, that's just the whole basics. Alright, that's when you first get started in the world of Honkai Star Rails. You already know where you're going to end up to. Like I said, you're given a choice whether or not to stay with the space station and stay on the space station or go with the Astro Express. Go with the Astro Express. Trust me, it's going to be kind of fun because it's like very fun to do different kinds of things. So you don't have to really go too far and basically explore everything else. But yeah, that's a recommendation what you should really be doing. Everything else works. Okay. On going from that. Okay. Ooh, why everything is a cover? It's just so many things I ever thought I had to start when I first started. Alright, going from there, the next thing we're going to cover is your travel, is the Trailblazer. You can also call him the travel if you want, but Trailblazer actually suits the title different well. The Trailblazer is a very special type of character for this very reason, mostly because depending how you understand him, he's going to be the most powerful character that you have in your arsenal, especially if you understand why. Because the Trailblazer has an ability, well, an ability that allows him to have multiple different other pathways. Yeah. He has the ability to have multiple different other pathways, allow him to do like multiple different abilities and everything else. So it makes it pretty easy for you to have multiple different abilities. It's like the Traveler in Genshin Impact where you touch the statue, you can get multiple different abilities. The Trailblazer is not like that in a way because you get multiple different abilities depending how it goes. When you're on the Herta space station, you get your first ability, which is Physical Damage Break. Physical Damage Break does a lot of damage, it allows you to destroy people, allows you to destroy people, and that's the first thing that you get. I'm going to show you that in a minute. This is my Trailblazer, as you can see right here, and this allows me to switch. For the Trailblazer, you get your first ability, which is the Physical Damage. This is the first thing that you get as a Trailblazer when you're on Herta's spaceship. This is the very first ability and skill that you get. You get the Destruction Pathway. So you get the Destruction Pathway, allows you to deal serious damage and everything else. So it does a lot of damage and how it works. The second skill you get is basically Preservation. Allows you to put up a shield and barrier around different kinds of characters. Make it easier for you to block and defend yourself from different kinds of characters and everything else. This is the second thing that you get. This one, the Preservation, you get during Julio 5, the planet that's right next to the Herta space station after you're done. After that, you basically go to the Xianzhou Luofu, and you don't get any other new abilities for the time being. After a while, you do get another ability later on, but that's when you go to Pentaconi. This is the third ability, the third pathway that you get when you go to Pentaconi, known as the Harmony. It's your third ability that you get, and it makes it a little bit easier for you to like have multiple different abilities, and you get the pathway of Harmony. After a while, nothing really happens on Pentaconi. You finish the story mode, everything else. Then you go to Enforis, and you get another skill a little bit after that. You get the Path of Remembrance. The Path of Remembrance is about ice and increasing true damage and everything else, giving extra damage bonus. Basically, the Path of Remembrance gives you extra damage bonus. So when you get your Trailblazer, you're going to have 4 different pathways that you can switch from. As you can see me right here. So when you press this button on the side that I press right here, the switch button, as you have the little bit at the bottom, if y'all can't see, it's at the bottom. When you press it, you're allowed to switch to multiple different pathways, so it's pretty easy for your Trailblazer. At least for the Trailblazer, it means you have multiple different abilities and multiple different everything else, so it makes it easy for you to have multiple different abilities, multiple different powers. In a way, you don't have to really go that far to have multiple different everything else. So it makes it easy for you to have, a different kind of character. This makes the Trailblazer, my character right now, I'm gonna show you right now, my character, the Trailblazer, a pretty useful all-rounded character because he's gonna have the power of every single pathway. So you don't really have to like stress out or be tired or everything else. At least for the Trailblazer, it'll be pretty easy for you guys to, grow and everything else. So it's actually kind of fun if you think about it, because when you first started playing this game, it's going to be hella more fun and interesting than dealing with everything else that's going to happen. So the Trailblazer is an all-rounded character, like I said before. As you have multiple different pathways and abilities, so you don't have to keep like wondering what kind of abilities you have. It's like the Traveler. Like if you build them right, it's gonna be able to. It's gonna be like the Traveler. If you build them right, you can deal like a lot of damage. And the first kind of abilities that I have when I first came, the first kind of abilities I had was Destruction. Then I had Preservation, and that was all a pretty good thing. Then it takes like a little bit while in between. So in between, I think there are 7 pathways in total. So later on, when we get every single pathway, it's gonna be a little bit easier. But there are 7 in total. But yeah, that is for your that's for the Traveler. That's for the Trailblazer. When you first start, you get a pretty good thing. So you have a lot to look forward to when you first start playing Honkai Star Rails. You'll be able to have multiple different abilities. It's actually going to be pretty good. multiple different abilities, so it's actually gonna be pretty good when you first start playing. So just be prepared for that. Ugh. Good. Sorry about that. But yeah, that's for the Trailblazer. So when you first start playing, you're gonna look forward to have multiple different abilities, so it's gonna be kind of good. Moving on from that. All right. The next thing we're going to cover is actually pretty much what we're doing now is story mode. The story modes are actually pretty easy for the traveler. For let's say traveler. For the let me check something real quick. Sorry about that. For the Trailblazer. Story modes are pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory, so I don't really have to go too far. So it makes it pretty easy for you to get around. There's also something else that's gonna make it pretty easy to get around. Synthesizing. Synthesizing is pretty much the same thing for you cooking, but at least for this, you don't have to look for a campfire or anything else. You can literally just cook any kind of food that you have here. But to be honest, not that many people cook in here. Well, some do. Cooking just gives like an extra kind of damage bonus and everything else. So it's not really all too bad depending on how it goes. It's actually pretty good for the Trailblazer and everything else. You cook a lot of things here, make things a little bit more easy for yourself, but also help you out a lot when you're trying to cook a good kind of meal. So synthesizing is basically like cooking, but you don't really have to like go too far. All you have to do is just put it in the thing right here, synthesize it, and then it takes a while. Boom, it's cooked. Easy, simple, not too hard. And the thing is, you can passively collect every single materials, everything else here, so it makes it pretty easy for you to like, you know, not have to look too far. Makes it a little bit more easier, a little bit more fun. All right, we're gonna cover artifacts later. It's gonna be a little bit. I got a surprise for artifacts later. All right, cover characters. Cover that. All right, next we're going to cover. We're gonna cover exploration. Yeah. In Genshin Impact, you basically have different kinds of materials that can help you find chests and a whole lot of things a lot more faster. Like a treasure compass or everything else, but in Honkai Star Rails, there isn't anything like that. So finding chests are a little bit more difficult, but not all too hard. If I remember correctly, there is something that can help you find something, but hold on, let me check in my inventory and see if it's there. I don't know if it's there anymore. It should be in my inventory. I'm not too sure though, but I'm checking to see if I can find it. Nope, it's not here. Alright. Exploration in Honkai Star Rails is a little bit different because you need to find materials and everything else. But the glory of that is that finding materials are actually the most easiest thing to do in Honkai Star Rails. I'm going to show you why in a minute. When you're in Genshin Impact, you have to go all around the map, and it basically shows you how to explore different areas and show you how to collect materials from different monsters and everything else, level up essential materials. It basically guides you to where the monster is, and you have to hunt it. But in Honkai Star Rails, that problem is pretty much fixed. And you got nothing to do about that problem. It makes it a little bit easier for you to do. The reason I say that problem is fixed, it's actually the most easiest thing to do. Let me show you why. Where is it? 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 Alright, where is it? When you're basically exploring in Travelog or something like this, when you're exploring in Honkai Star Rails, it makes it hard for you to explore like a whole different other things. But it makes it a lot of bit harder. In Genshin Impact, when you're exploring, when you need materials, you have to put it on the map and everything else in order to find it. So you have to basically look for it everywhere it should be, and basically look for it a little bit better. It makes it a little bit more harder than it should. A little different. Alright. But that's what makes this a little bit easier for you to find essential materials. Essential materials in Honkai Star Rails are way easier to find than essential materials in Genshin Impact. Because for you to find those essential materials and everything else, you have to like go to the monsters and everything else, and it makes it a little bit easier. But this one makes it a little bit more easier. As you can see, this is known In this assignment area right here, you find a little cover right here known as assignments. When you click it, as you can see, you can have characters. You can have characters get ascension items for you. So it's like automatic ascension items that basically get you like items that you need to level up your characters and everything else. In the assignment area, all you have to do is basically look for the items on the characters. For instance, hold on. Let's say that you need an ascension item for like your character, but you don't really have it. You look at the character and everything else, and you just look, content. You need the ascension materials for every single character, and you just need to know what kind of ascension character what it might be. Let me show y'all. Let me show y'all. All right, show you. All right. So let's say you need this.
Don't you think?
Let's say you need something like this. When you want to look for the ascension type of characters, you can just basically click it on the character and go here. Omni-Essential Martial Exchange. Omni-Martial Exchange basically lets you exchange this level for like something else. So if you have something like this or basically something like this, you basically click this square right here and you can exchange it in order to get that item. But you have to beat a couple boss battles for it. It's the same thing for this. Same thing for this. Everything else. Now, if you need materials, the assignment section makes it a little bit more easier for you to find materials. Like I said, let's say you need like an ascension materials for a certain like type of character. In this area, the assignment materials, all you have to do is just look for it, click it, and then boom, it'll basically be good for you as well. It's also like this. It shows you where it is and everything else, and makes it a little bit more easier for you to get it. When it's fully maxed out, you can basically get it after like 30 hours. When it's fully maxed out, it makes it a little bit more easier. So when you in essential materials, you need a whole bunch of essential materials that you can get. It makes it a little bit more easier for you when you want to get materials, ascend materials, or basically materials that can level up your character or your levels. With this, it makes it a little bit more easier. It's like auto. It's basically action auto hunting. You don't really have to do anything. All you have to do is just click the materials that you need, and then boom. You just gotta wait for a period of time, wait for like a couple minutes or like an hour, and then it just makes it a little bit more easier. That's why it makes it a little bit different for Genshin Impact, because with Genshin Impact, it shows you where the materials are, but you have to go get them yourself. So that's a little bit more difficult, but it makes it pretty fun. That's a little bit more fun. All right.
Is that all?
Oh, it's a little bit more difficult, but yeah, that's how it works. That's a little bit more easier. So when you basically need help or basically trying to find a little bit more difficult things, these will make things a little bit. Hold on for a quick second. But it makes it a little bit more easier and makes things a little bit more fun. Well, this way you don't really have to go too far when you're looking for different types of characters or like looking type of auto characters. It makes things a little bit more easier for you. Make things a little bit more easier when you want to look for auto, when you look for materials. The auto hunt basically is automatic and you just don't have to really do much. It hunts for you. So in the future, it basically hunts for you. So you don't have to really do too crazy.
Thank you so much for your help this time. Please continue to support.
And since it's a little bit more easier to basically get around. But it also helps a lot more when you basically want to do everything else. The auto hunt makes things a little bit more easier to find materials and everything else, so you don't really have to work too hard in order to find materials. It's also pretty good. That's what makes it a little bit more different than Genshin Impact, where you have to basically look for the materials. At least with this way, you don't have to really go too far to find materials. The auto assignments will make it a little bit more easier for you. It's actually pretty good. Sorry, give me a minute. Let my throat recover. We've talked a lot. Talked a lot. Ooh, give my throat a minute. All right. I don't know what's going on with this one. What the? Okay, no, I gotta draw the resolution. Yeah, but that's how everything works. But yeah, my throat
Had an all-nighter playing
was a
games
little
again.
bit tired.
Feeling sick today.
Anyways, I gotta basically continue on. All right, how to get to the characters? How to get to the characters? How they work? But I don't want to talk too much about that just yet, because that's gonna be really a longer kind of worms and everything else. Okay, so we covered that, which will work for tutorials and everything else, how the materials work. So we'll give you a second, let y'all digest that information. I'm gonna thought rest a little bit because I gotta talk a lot more after this. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. So I thought it would be. Okay. All right. That's enough information for y'all to digest. On to the next thing. Okay. So the next thing we're going to cover are weapons. And this is what I'm going to say at one time. There are no weapons in Genshin. There are no weapons in Honkai Star Rails. You're basically good. There are no weapons in Honkai Star Rails is actually pretty good, so you don't really have to look for a certain weapon for each character like you do in Genshin Impact, because every single character comes with a weapon automatically attached to them. So you don't really have to look for different kinds of weapons. You don't really have to search for different kinds of weapons. You don't have to wish for weapons. You don't really have to do any of that. That is why I said I wanted to cover that last, because in the Honkai Star Rails, you don't have to like wish for weapons or try to find them. In Genshin Impact, you have to find certain weapons that max each character. But in Honkai Star Rails, you don't really have to do none of that. They come with the automatic weapon, as you can see. See? Whoever character has an automatic weapon that they come with. So I don't really have to go too far. Basically, you don't have to really do too much. So that takes off one of your burdens when you're trying to look for a weapon in Genshin Impact. You have to find the right weapon, or basically wish for the right weapon, or refine it, or level up, or everything else. You don't really have to do that here. In Honkai Star Rails, you don't have to do that here because you don't really have to look for weapons and everything else. It makes things a whole lot more easier when you in this game, because you don't have to get weapons or anything else. You can basically make things a little bit easier. So it actually makes it a little bit more easier for you to like look for different kinds of weapons. It makes it a little easier where you don't have to like, so it makes it pretty easy. It knocks it down. All right, on to the next thing. Now this is important. What we're gonna talk about, hold on, let me show y'all. I keep forgetting that it's basically in my bag. We are going to talk about these. These are known as light cones. Or in other words, there's lights of cones. Light cones are basically a best way to describe what these are. The best thing to describe what these are, they would be considered. How do I describe it? What's the word I can use for this? I guess in terms of Genshin Impact terms, they would be. I guess they would be like weapons. In a way, they would be weapons, but they're not fully weapons. They just boost your characters, and depending on how it goes. Every light cone has a different kinds of boosts and ability, and there's many different types of them. But each light cone is the same thing. Each light cone is like the same thing, has a similarity like to having pathways. There's multiple different pathways for each light cone, and there's multiple different kinds of light cones that they are. There are the Hunter light cones, the Preservation light cones, the Harmony light cones, the Erudition light cones, the Abundant light cones, the Remembrance light cones, the Destruction light cones, and the Hunter light cones. I already told you what each pathway represents, so you already know what it is. Each light cone is pretty much like a weapon, but in a way it's not. Depending how each light cone works, it can boost the character's attacks and everything else. But each light cone has to go to every signature character. So if you have a character that has the Remembrance, or basically a destruction pathway, you have to give a character a destruction light cone. You can tell the difference between every single light cone by the side, by the little symbol on the side right there. The abundance light cones go to abundance characters. So if you have an abundance character, you basically give them the abundance light cones. If you have a remembrance character, you give them the remembrance light cone. If you have a destruction character, you give them the destruction light cones. Each light cone is specifically built for certain type of characters. So like I said, if you have a destruction character, you have to give a destruction light cone. If you have a remembrance light cone, you have to give them a remembrance light cone. If you have a hunter light cone, a hunter character, you have to give them a hunter light cone. So it basically works pretty easily. Every single light cone is built eternally different in every single time. So it makes it really easy for you to have multiple different light cones, so you don't have to have anything else, like anything too hard. So each light cone is a little bit different. But like I said, there's multiple different light cones, and each light cone represents different types of characters. So you need to give it to a certain type of character. The abundance like cones go to abundance characters. Destruction like cones go to destruction like characters. Destruction characters. And hunter like cones go to hunter characters. Each light cone is a little bit different, but it does give special effects because of that pathway. So it does pretty good for each character. There's multiple different types of light cones. Like I said, you can wish for them, get them, basically have them, but there's multiple different types of ones that can get pretty easily. Every light cone is a little bit different, and there are special light cones. Each light cones is pretty much divided into like different kinds of levels. It's kind of like the same thing for artifacts, but there's also like there are 3-star light cones, and then there are 4-star light cones, and then there are the rare 5-star light cones, as you can see right here. Rare 5-star light cones are pretty hard to get because you have to wish for them and get them multiple different times. So it makes it a little bit more easier. That's a little bit more easier, but it's actually pretty good. It's a little bit easier, but yeah, every light cone is a little bit different. A light cone is a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It's not out that each light cone is a little bit different in how you go, and how to get these light cones are actually pretty easy. Here, warp is basically the similar version of wish, so it's pretty much like that. But you basically have a warp. You can basically wish for different kinds of characters, but you wish for the type of characters first. To get the light cones of each character, or to get a light cone that you want, you come here. Light cones are actually pretty easy to get because they're separated. You don't have to wish for any weapons or anything else, but light cones are pretty much can be found here and basically be found around the net. It's the same thing as Genshin Impact. There's 2 different kinds of wishes, as you can see right here. 2 types of wishes. What the should I get her? Because she's here, I should probably get her. Sorry. But yeah, each light cone is a little bit different, and it's only doing pretty well. And it's like pretty simple. There are 2 different character. That's right. They're different. The same thing as Genshin Impact. When there's 2 different types of characters, there's the same thing as 2 different types of light cones. Since you don't have to worry about weapons, you just have to worry about the light cones. But you don't have to worry about this too much, so you don't really have to get the exact light cone for each different character. But it's up to you if you want to. Each light cone is divided into 4-star and 5-star, like I said before. So if you want one, you can get one for the characters that you want. It's actually pretty good. But I recommend that you don't really waste too much light cones about it because it makes it a little bit more easier. But it's not really all that bad. That's a little bit weird. These are standard. There's basically many different kinds of things. You already know about standard banners, as you can see right here. These are standard banners. So standard banners. So you don't have to go too crazy when you wish for like multiple different things. So when you come here, you just get like a whole bunch of cool stuff and everything else. Standard light cones are pretty much regular types of warps. So you can get free 5-star characters, everything else, or 5-star light cone. And then there's this light cone. A while back, a long time ago, Fate Zero basically did a crossover with the Honkai Star Rails. And in the future, they plan to do one again. But yeah, this one is in the past. This one's in the past. Yeah, that was with that. So a long time ago, Fate basically did a whole kind of crossover event, and you get characters like Saber or Archer. You get characters like Saber or Archer, as you can see. You can also get their light cones, as you can see right here. So you don't really have to go too far to find these light cones. Are actually pretty odd. There's also pretty much a standard light cone. So yeah, it's kind of like a standard banner. So you don't have to go too far to look for characters, and they last for like a long time. So but yeah, so if you want a fake character, you can get one now because they're going to be around for a little while longer. But I don't know, but I suggest you start getting one a little bit earlier when you first start playing. But everything else is pretty simple. Now onto these. These are called random stellarons. Random stellarons are pretty much like primo gens, but they're a little bit different. They're like shaped in crystal form. And these are called, hold on for a second, let me show you. These are called Trailblazer Star Rail Special Passes. Star Rail Special Passes allow you to basically summon characters, like 5-star characters, any kind of character that you want. It's pretty much the same thing as Genshin Impact, so we were about to do a little bit too hard. But these are what you need if you want to get a 5-star character. And like I said, this is like Genshin Impact in some ways. There's a standard banner right here. And this one, if you want to get like standard type characters. Basically, you know, everything else. So these are for standard type characters. The gold ones are for special characters that are coming, like 5-star characters. And the silver one is for standard type characters, so you don't have to go too far. But yeah. Light cones are basically easy to find right here. Anyone else, you get 3-star light cone, 4-star light cones. Makes it pretty easy for you to find. You don't have to wish for weapons or anything else here. You just need to wish for the light cones for your character and then give it to your character, and then boom. Your character will be a whole lot more powerful. You don't have to worry about weapons or anything else. You just need to worry about the light cones and the artifacts. Those are the only 2 things you need to worry about. So it makes it a little bit more easier for players when you first start Honkai Star Rails. So you don't have to like pine or pray or basically thinking, oh man, should I wish for that weapon? That middleman's already been cut out. So you don't have to really wish for weapons or anything else. All you need to focus on is whether or not you want to get a light cone for your character, get a 4-star one, 5-star one, or a 3-star one. It's completely up to you. Man. I like it is just a little bit harder. Alright, that covers the light cone situation. So you guys will be pretty well. On to the next thing. Is it light cone situation? On to the next thing. Alright. Now, character. You see right here at the top of the right, so what I'm showing right now, I'm about to show you something. It's called Character Guide. Look at that. Character Guide basically shows you how to build multiple different characters in Honkai Star Rails. It gives you information on how to build every single character, how it basically guides you how to build every single character, what team is good for each character, which team is not good for every single character. As you can see, you click on the character that you want to build and you scroll down, and it shows you what kind of characters and what kind of teams that you can build for every single type of character. You can also quick save it. Also quick save it. So yeah, when you basically build every single type of character, you can build it to be a very strong type of character. As you can see, every single character, it basically shows you how to build every character in every single team. So it makes it a little bit more easier. You don't have to like keep pining or everything else. This will make it easy for you to build your characters and make them strong. Actually pretty good. So it shows you every single character's information about what the character needs, what it has to need, and what's good for the characters. So you click on the character and it shows you character build. Character build, basically what you need. I'm getting to this. It shows you what character is needed, how to build the characters and everything else, and what kind of light cone that they need. It shows you what recommendation, what kind of light cone is needed if you really need it. There's many different types of light cones that you can use, but most of them are not pretty good. It shows you which one is the best for the characters and which one will do more damage. It gives you high use rate, basically means that the character uses a lot, is good for the characters, and it's pretty good for them. And also gives you low use rate, which is basically not very used for multiple different kind of characters. That characters don't really use it as much. It doesn't bring out their full potential. And it also shows you what kind of relics that fits the characters. We're going to get into relics in a little bit in a minute, explain what they are. So it shows you what kind of relics that you need to build what type of character that you need, and also gives you a good kind of rating. When it's all done, it shows you the rating of the character that you built. As you can see, rating A means that it's actually a pretty high character for you to build, and the character is like pretty powerful. S is the highest rating, but rating A is the second highest rating. So we're gonna have to like ponder or basically realize how long it takes to build a certain type of character. So it makes it pretty easy. Oh, I'm about to switch back to remembrance. Alright, there we go. So it makes it pretty easy for you to like look for different type of characters. It also makes it easy when you first start Honkai Star Rails. When you first get a couple characters, you can go here and it will show you which characters that you can build in their rating. B is the third highest rating. For me, I have a B rating. That means I didn't build my character right, or am I missing something? I'm not too sure, but we're gonna have to worry about that a little bit later. But yeah, that's how it works. like I said, these can show you what kind of team build-ups they see. It shows you the artifacts for each character. It shows you the team builds for each character and how the team builds work. Basically guides you on what kind of light cone and everything else that you need. So yeah, it's actually pretty good. Wait, do I have that? Oh, I do. No, we're just gonna leave for this one. Save that one for later. Even though it's a high rated one, we're gonna save it for later. But yeah, this basically shows you which kind of things you need for the characters, what kind of artifacts you need for the characters. It basically guides you in a way that makes it a little bit easy when you first start playing Honkai Star Rails. It's a quick guide that guides you. It shows you what you need to do, how to build the character that you want, and what rating, and it shows you the rating and how strong the character is. So the ratings are actually pretty simple to understand. The lowest ratings would be D tier. It basically means that the characters aren't that strong. Then it follows by C tier, which means the characters are strong, but they're not that strong. And it goes to B tier. B tier being the third highest right next to B tier being the third highest. That means the characters are strong enough to basically deal with like common class enemies and enemies that are not too bad. Then the rating goes on to A tier. A tier rating is like one of the highest ratings. That means the characters are strong. They can basically destroy an enemy team in a single hit. Makes it a little bit more easier. Then it goes all the way to S tier. S tier being the highest means that your character is overpowered. Like your entire team is overpowered, your character is overpowered, it does a lot of damage and it's like undefeated. So the ratings are important. They'll show you, like I said, this will show you how to build the team and everything else, how the ratings work, every single thing. It makes it a little bit more easier for you when you want to build characters. So it's actually pretty good to have this on the side. It makes it easier. Like I said, multiple different types of ratings. So you guys were able to do it pretty well. All right. Whew. That's pretty good. Ooh. Ooh. All right. All right. So that basically covers character guide, so it makes it a little bit easier for you guys. I'm gonna show you how I built my characters, but that's gonna be a little bit later. Explain how each character works, but we're gonna do it later. Now it's not a good idea. Next thing we're going to cover are artifacts. But the artifacts are a little bit different here. So I'm gonna show you. There are two types of artifacts technically in this game. But the artifacts in these games are actually pretty easy to build, so you don't really have to go anything crazy. And it's also really easy for you to have every single artifact on your characters. But yeah, I covered that a little bit, definitely a little bit more. All right, so when I told you guys that you weren't gonna have to worry about building different types of characters, it's gonna be a little bit easier.
Mets le password sous ça, moi, s'il vous plaît. Le password là, sous ça, moi, please.
Hold on, give me a second. My bad. Back to what we're doing. All right. So for the artifact rise, the reason I said it'd be easier to basically build artifacts for Honkai Star Rails is because the artifacts are only two types. And you'll understand that in a minute. So, as you know, Genshin Impact, you need to have you have three artifacts for like three different characters. The three artifacts are basically the circlet, the goblet, and basically the sands. You need three of those, and the sands and goblet have to have the circlet has to have crit damage or crit rate. The goblet has to have animo, dendro, or basically any kind of physical damage, and the sands have to have attack damage, elemental mastery damage as one of the main stats. But here at Honkai Star Rails, you only need to worry about two of those things. Well, technically four, but it's a little bit different. The reason I say that is that the circlet, as you can see right now, the headgear has one stat only and one stat only. The thing you need to worry about for this one is most likely the substats, so it makes it a little bit more easier. You don't really have to go all the way around to basically go to different areas and mats and everything else, so you don't really have to go pretty far. In Honkai Star Rails, you just need to worry about only two different artifacts for the team. You can worry about the other two first, which is right now, which is the headgear and the hands, as you can see. But you don't really have to worry about them too crazy because the stats will always be the same. It makes it a little bit more easier for you to like get around and everything else. The only thing you need to worry about these two are basically the substats. For the headgear, you need to worry about the substats, and for the hands, you need to worry about the substats for them as well. It makes it pretty easier. Now, this is where it gets weird. The one thing you need to worry about that things you need to work. The one thing you need to worry about is basically this and this. These are the only two artifacts you need to worry about for when you're trying to build your characters. These are the only two types of artifacts you need to worry about. I'm not talking about these artifacts in general right now. What I'm talking about is the effects of the artifact. I'll explain what I mean. All right. So when you get the body armor, basically the body armor of any type of artifacts, there's basically the part of the body that has armor. So this is what you need to worry about, the body part. When you get the body part armor, you need to focus on getting crit damage or crit rate, which is one of the two things you need to focus on. So it's not all too bad. So that makes it a little bit more easier. And when you want to focus it on the feet, basically like legs and stuff like that, the only thing you need to focus on is something called SPD. I'm gonna explain what SPD is a little bit later after that, so it's actually pretty easy. But these are the only two things you need to worry about when you basically farming artifacts for different types of players. You need to, for the feet, or basically the legs, you just need to worry about the SPD. And for the body part, all you need to focus on is basically crit rate or crit damage. So it makes it a little bit more easier for you, and it makes it a little bit more easier for me. Because it cuts out basically having you basically getting three different artifacts and going back to the dungeon every single time. So it makes it a little bit more easier. So it's actually a pretty good thing. Now you got to worry about these. These are known as planetary. This is known as a planetary sphere. A planetary sphere is basically side effects of everything else and makes things a little bit more easier. I guess you can say it's part of the artifacts, but it's not really fully part of the artifacts. And these are pretty much two different types of artifacts, and they have a separate kind of thing. The reason it's basically like that is that planetary spheres are basically separate from these artifacts. Like I said, when you worry about these artifacts, you just need to worry about the body and the legs. You need to worry about the arm, the hands, or the head. These are going to be taken care of because they only have one stat, and you have to worry about the substats. For the planetary, this is a whole separate thing. The planetaries are basically a whole like a ball of different kinds of orbs, and they have special effects that represents every single type of party and everything else, because it makes it a little bit easier for you to like, have a good time. When you have the planet sides orbs, it basically shows you what kind of effects that you need for your it kind of shows you what kind of effects you need. So you don't really have to go anywhere too crazy to understand them. The planetary orb gives like different kinds of effects, like like artifacts. When you have a 4-piece set artifacts, you get a 4-piece special effects. But when you have the planetary orb, it also gives you a special effects too because you have 2 pieces. It makes it a little bit more easier for you when you want to have like 2, maybe 3 pieces. So you don't really have to go that far to like, that far. They say they don't go that far. 2-piece set of every single one gives you a special kind of 2-piece set effect, so it makes it a little bit more easier for you to find them. Planetary orbs can be found literally anywhere, so you don't have to go that far to basically find them. So it makes it a little bit more easier for you to find them, and things a little bit more, you know, less crazy to find them. Yeah, a little bit more easier. The next one is this one, the link rope. The link rope is, like I said, is like the planetary orb. It's completely different of how everything works, but it makes it a little bit more easier for you to get around. Every single link rope has different kinds of effects depending on how you go. But you need to find the main effect of the link rope and then worry about the substats and basically the stats later. When you have the link rope, you need to focus entirely on the first thing of said link rope. So you don't really have to do anything else that makes it a little bit more hard for you to have it. The link rope is basically the same thing as a planetary spear, because they are in the same domains and everything else. So every single time you go into like a place to find artifacts or anything else, and you want to get the planetary spear, or you want to get the planetary sphere, you don't really have to go too much, because this planetary spear and the link rope are in the same place. The artifacts are actually, like I said, are in a whole different kind of area. Or sometimes the link ropes and the artifacts can be in the same place, so it makes it a little bit more easier for you to get what you need. So it's actually pretty good. They're pretty good. But yeah, like I said, you don't really need to worry too much for the artifacts. You don't have to worry about the head or basically the hands. You understand why? Because the effects, no matter which you take, is going to be the same. The stats will be the same. The main stat will always be the same for the heads or hands. It'll either be attack or either be HP. That's for every single artifact that has the hands. It'll always be attack or HP. That is it. For the head is going to be HP, and for the hands it'll be attack, and that'll only be it, and we change nothing else. And the only thing you have to worry about is the body. The body are the two things you need to worry about that makes it a little bit more difficult and a little bit more easier for you to try it. So you don't have to really go that far. Okay, whatever. Yeah, okay, you'll be quiet in the back of the class, I'm teaching. I'll say it's a little bit easier. You only need to worry about the body and the legs. These are the two things you need to worry about the most. You don't really have to worry about anything else other with the artifacts. So when you first start, you don't even have to worry about, you don't have to complain or worry about, oh my god, what kind of things I need for the circlet, what kind of things I need for the artifacts, what kind of substats I need for one of the main artifacts. Yeah, whatever. All you need to worry about is basically these two things right here. You don't have to worry about anything else. You just need to worry about the body and the legs. These are the two things that you need to basically handle, so it doesn't really go too far. So it's actually pretty easy for you. Makes things a little bit easier. Like I said, a planetary spear can be found in special domains as well. It used to be in the same place with the artifacts, and the link rope can also be found to pay pretty good thing as well. I guess you can consider the link rope and the planetary spear as separate artifacts from the main artifacts. They basically gives you base effects and more attack range and everything else. So they're separate artifacts from the main artifacts. It's like having two artifacts and one person. But yeah, that's how it works. I did forget. That's what's one of the main difference, because in Honkai Stories you're getting two artifacts for the same character, but it's actually two different artifacts for just one character. So it's actually pretty weird, but actually pretty good. But yeah, sure, why not? All right, I need to use the bathroom real quick. I also need to stretch my legs. I've been sitting for like a minute. I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. It took me a minute. So, like I said, Link Rope and Planetary Spear are two very different things. Like I said, four artifacts are basically in one character. So every single character has four artifacts, so I basically have two artifacts. The Planetary Spear and the Link Rope. And then you have the regular artifacts that go for the character to boost their attack, their crit damage, and everything else. So, it makes it a little bit more easy for you. Now, the question is, where can you find these? Where can you find these? To find these artifacts are actually pretty easy to find. You don't really have to go too far. You can find them here, in this book. I'm gonna show you what this book is so I can show you what they are. Hold on. It is Interstellar Guide. Interstellar Guide will guide you to multiple different domains and everything else that make it a little bit more faster. Not really domains, but areas that show you where you can find multiple different artifacts or anything else. So yeah, you can find artifacts here, 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 and everywhere else where it could be. It's not really too far, so it makes it a little bit more easier for you to look for artifacts and things that you need to find with the artifacts. It's actually kind of weird how it is. The artifacts can be found pretty much all over the map, so I'm going to show you where they are. Alright, there. Let's just show you what it could be. But yeah, artifacts can be pretty much found in central different kinds of places. I'm going to show you what these places are in a minute, so I'm going to show you what they are. Because it's actually pretty easy just to show y'all because it's going to be even harder. Alright. Let's see. We're going to Cienjo Law Food because that's pretty easy to show you. When you're looking for artifacts, they aren't really pretty easy to find, but they're not too hard to find. Depending on how you go, artifacts can be found literally all over the map in every single place that you can look forward to. You can find them pretty much anywhere. It's pretty much anywhere. I'm going to show you where they can be found. So when you want to look for a certain type of artifact that you can't really find it, and you want to look for a certain type of artifact for the character, there's a little something that can help you. Now, let's say you're basically looking for a character right here, like any kind of character, doesn't really matter. Any kind of character, it can be this character. And you want to find the artifact that suits this character. You basically goes to relics, which are called artifacts right now, and you do something called Smart Equip. Smart Equip will basically shows you what kind of artifacts and relics suit the character that suits them pretty well. As you can see, you basically look for the character that has the artifacts, and you put set info. You click on set info, and then it'll basically guide you to where these artifacts could be found. These relics can be found, or basically how to make those relics. We'll get into that a little bit later. There's a intent. So when you want to find the different kinds of elements, you need to be on different kinds of relics. You just need to basically look for any kind of character. Doesn't matter what character, new character or character that you have. You click on the character, and it basically guides you to where the relics could be. I show you again. You go to Smart Equip right here on the side. There's a little dot on the side. You go Smart Equip, and you basically guide you to a book. The basically shows you what kind of relics are popular that shoot that character, and you click Set Info. Set Info also shows you what kind of relics or basically what kind of thing you need for that character. As you can see right here. See? For this character I have right now, she needs a body armor that has crit rate, crit damage, and SMP. SMP. So I'm gonna explain what SMP is. SMP stands for speed. Well, I thought hold on, I'm gonna show you in the tutorial because it's actually pretty hard to remember what they are stand for. I guess SPD. My bad, SPD. SPD. SPD stands for speed. Yeah, I don't know what was. So it basically just stands for speed. Nothing really anything too crazy. So look. That's it. So when you're in a battle and you basically, because this game is known as a turn-based game. Turn-based game basically means your enemies get to attack you too, and you basically get to attack your enemy. So everybody gets like 3 different attacks and everything else, but you have to fight your enemies a little bit more quicker. Basically, it's like a turn-based game. One enemy goes first, another enemy goes second, another enemy goes first, another enemy goes second. Kind of a whole situation. SPD SPD is basically speeding that up. SCD basically means when SPD will affect the interval between target actions. The faster the speed, the shorter the interval. At the same time, SPD also affect action order when entering battle. So SPD allows you to basically put your characters up first. It speeds up your characters. Basically makes them war fast and like an attack. It doesn't mean it doesn't mean when I think when you increase your character speed like that. It basically speeds up the turn for your characters. So let's just say your enemy is attacking you, right? And it's not your turn yet. You can't really do anything about it. You can use SPD to basically speed up the character that you want to attack first. There are characters in the game that can boost SPD that basically makes them go faster, so it makes it pretty easy for you to have your next turn. It's basically allow you to have the next turn after your enemy is done kicking your ass, and you can basically kick their ass and have another turn. Every single character has SP. That's why it's important to focus on SP with the leg for the feet. When you get the relic for the legs, if you have high enough SP, it basically makes your character a little bit faster and also makes you stronger. It's actually pretty interesting how it works because it basically makes things a whole lot more faster, a whole lot more quicker in the story and everything else. So when you have SP, it makes it a whole lot more faster, makes it easier for you to go even faster, it makes it a little bit easier for you to continue going. So yeah, that's what SPD stands for. It basically is just speed. It speeds up your next turn when you're in a combat or in basically fighting situation. It makes it a whole lot more faster, so you want to attack your characters a whole lot more faster. So yeah, it's actually pretty good. Actually pretty good. But my bad. I was worried about artifacts. But that's what SPD stands for. I can actually show you what I mean. So yeah, hold on. I'm gonna show you what it means. Alright, I'm gonna show you what it means. Alright, I can show you what I mean, but I need to find some characters. I'll show you what it means in a minute. Because it requires me to basically look around. Hold on. I can show you what I mean, but I need to find some characters to fight first. Thank you. Sorry about this, guys. I'm going to show you what I mean by SPD, so I need to get into a fight real quick so I can show you what I mean. Just don't know where it is. Alright, it's going to be a little bit close by, but pretty easy. Right. There we go. I already told y'all about the brick effect. Pretty easy. I'm going to show you what SPD and how it works, so you're going to see it right now. That character's pretty easy.
Let's play for
In the mood for
There we go. Alright. Like I said, SPD basically shows you how fast your next turn's gonna be. As you can see, my characters are all pretty fast. Makes it a little bit more easier for me to fight and everything else. Also pretty good. Right now, Mike, selling a little bit something a little bit tomorrow.
Let's play for
Selling a little bit more tomorrow. There we go.
nice like a good brew.
SPD makes it a whole lot more faster when you want to basically fight your enemies. Makes it a little bit more easier for me to get around a little bit more easier. It's actually pretty good to have it. Make things a little bit more faster and a little bit more easier for people.
Let's play.
And you got the elemental burst.
Can you find the answer?
Elemental burst is weird. See? SD basically makes it a little bit faster for you to fight better beats and basically go a little bit quicker. So you don't have to worry about it too much. It basically makes your next turn a little bit more faster. So you get a little bit more faster. Alright, that's what I was saying. Alright, back to the artifacts. Like I was saying, we're gonna use her as an example. So, smarter equip, but you want to find the artifacts that shoot them, and then you do set info. Set info basically shows you what kind of stats you need, or the main stats you need for the two artifacts I told y'all before in the beginning. The two artifacts I showed you before. Now, When you want to find the artifact, you could click, well, the relic. You click on the relics, as you can see, and it gives you two options. It basically shows you, the first option shows you where the relics are located, like this. It shows you where the relics are located, and it basically takes you there. It doesn't show you on the map, it will literally take you to what the relics are there. And there's like 4 different levels. When you get over here, there are multiple different levels for multiple different types of artifacts and everything else, or relics. The level 1, basically relics you get are basically 4-star relics, 3-star relics, or 2-star relics. Level 2 is the same thing where you get 4-star relics, 2-star, 3-star relics, the 2-star relics. Level 3 is where it basically increases the difficulty, is where you can get 5-star relics, 5-star relics, 4-star purple relics, and basically 3-star relics. Level 5 is the same thing where you can be able to get 5-star relics and 4-star relics and 3-star relics. And it goes on all the way until level 6. But it changes a little bit. After level 4 and 5, it changes where you still get the same types of relics. 4-star gold, 5-star gold relics, 4-star purple relics, and basically 3-star blue relics. But when you get to level 6, that's where they basically only focus on 2-star, 5-star relics and 4-star relics. So it makes it a little bit easier if you want to basically get the relics that you need, but you want to not have every single type of relic. You don't want to have all the relics. This one makes it a little bit more easier. Makes it a little bit more easier. So this one, when we get to level 5, you can basically get 2 5-star relics or basically 2 4-star relics. It makes it a little bit easier when you want to build them a little bit quicker, and it makes it a little bit more easier for you to have it. It's actually pretty good to have, so it makes it easier for you to have multiple different kinds of relics and everything else. So it makes it a little bit easier. A little bit easier. What? Oh no, I didn't fall. Yeah, okay, a little bit easier. That's what makes it a little bit easier. Sorry, I got sidetracked. But yeah, it makes it a little bit more easier. The thing about this one, when you want to, the thing against an impact is when you go into the relic cards, when you try to get artifacts, you don't really get to choose what kind of level of artifacts you get. You can choose what kind of difficulty you're going to get, but you don't choose what kind of level you're gonna get. With this one, it cuts out all the artifacts, so you could just get straight the 5-star artifacts or basically the 4-star artifacts. So it makes it pretty easy when you want to find relics. But yeah, it works for every single character, not just one character. You click on Smart Equip and it basically guides you to where the relics are. It makes it a little bit more easier for you. So when you first start playing Honkai Star Rails and you don't know what you're going to do, this will the Smart Equip will basically help you find which relics you need for each and every one of your characters. So you don't have to really go all that way or go all that far. It makes it a little bit more easier. It's a little bit more easier. It makes it a little bit more simple. So it makes it a lot more easier. Bro. Oh, I'm talking a lot. My throat is killing me. Makes it a little bit more easier in this bit. So this way, you don't really have to struggle every single time when you first start playing Honkai Star Rails, trying to figure out what kind of artifacts fit certain character. Smart Equip can literally show you what kind of artifacts sits, what kind of relic suits which characters, and makes it a little bit more easier for you. Genshin Impact is a little bit harder, but you know, makes it easier. And it shows you have to worry about one main stat, don't have to worry about the substats. So it's actually pretty easy, but most of the time. Okay. Okay, we covered a lot. We got time to cover one more thing. I'll cover the rest of this on Monday because I'm not going to be on Saturday or Sunday. Tomorrow's my off days. Okay, so we already covered Smart Equip and everything else. All right. So next thing, like I said, Smarter Equip works in multiple different ways too. Like I said, there are two different types of artifacts in Genshin Impact. You have your regular 4-star artifacts, and you have the regular 4 or 5-star artifacts, and then you have in Honkai Star Rails, and then you have the two, and then you have these artifacts. Like I told y'all, the planetary artifacts, which are on the side. You can basically look for the planetary artifacts too, which are actually pretty easy. You click on the artifact for the character, basically the character. Like you're on that character, you just click it. Oh, good. You click on these artifacts just like you click on these artifacts right here. You click on it, and then it shows you where you can find these artifacts as well, or how you can, or basically how you can build them. It shows you where the artifacts are located, which are located here. It guides you to where it is, and then you just click it and go to that area. I'm going to explain what this is a little bit later because this area is a little bit more, this takes a little bit more time to explain. So I'm going to explain a little bit of these a little bit later. So I don't want to explain it right now. But yeah, it shows you where you can find the second pair of artifacts that you need for your character, and it guides you to where the location could be. So it actually makes it pretty easy for you. Smarter Equip makes it a little bit easier for you to find the characters and how it works. Now, if you don't want to do that or basically go all the trouble looking for that, you can also do this. Relic Synthesize. Synthesize. Basically, it's the same thing in Genshin Impact where you want to create different types of relics. This one will basically help you create different types of relics as well. You won't get the exact stat that you need for that type of relic, but you can get the exact stat pretty good. How you may ask? Pretty simple. Customize Synthesis. You can choose what kind of stats you need for that kind of relic, as long as you have this little thing on the side known as a self-modelization. You can choose what kind of main stat you want for the relic. Basically choose the main stat, and then you can choose the substat, as you can see, and then boom, you can choose the substat and create it. But these are pretty hard to come by, so I would save these for later. Like save it for like a good kind of character that you want and don't want to go crazy. I'm gonna show you what these are in a minute. Hold on. Go to the bag. Inventory. Where is it? These are what I use. They're called self-modelization. It allows you to basically... Let me show you what it does. It's a rare material used for customizing relics. When synthesizing, you can design one main stat from the possible opportunities with additional consumers, using further design to add 2 substats. So you can basically add 2 substats that you need and make the artifact really good and very powerful. But these only come around very rarely. Like they only come around when there's new updates and everything else, new parties and everything else. It makes it a little bit more difficult for you to get them. So if you have them, I highly recommend that you save them. Save them as much as you can and don't really use it too much. Only use it for like a certain character that you want to be very strong, or a character that you really need. They're not easy to get because you don't know where they can be found, but you can get them from here. Nameless Honor. Nameless Honor is basically a battle pass like Genshin Impact where you can get a whole bunch of these. A whole bunch. You're not going to get a lot, but you can get like a good amount. You can get like 2 in total right here. And then you can get like a couple more as it goes on. 2 again, which is 4. And you do it all over again, and then that's just it. I haven't really decided whether or not I'm going to lock this yet. I thought about getting Nameless Glory. I think I might get it one of these days because it's been like a couple of years now. I really even got it before. I think I might get it. So it makes it a little bit more easier for you to get it. So that's where you can get these if you want to get more. You head over to Nameless Honors, and you just basically go open the battle pass, and then boom, you can get like multiple different ones and multiple different ones to get. These can help you modify and actually get the artifacts that you want. So like I said, I'll recommend saving these and only use them for characters that you really want, that's the artifacts that you really want, or a character that you really want. So save them and basically let them grow as much as you can. Don't spend them all willy-nilly. It's going to be pretty useful later on in life. Pretty useful when you use it later on. But yeah, that's how it works. We're going to explain the rest of these later because these are a little bit more different and take time to explain. I already explained what these 2 are, but we're going to explain them like on a different day. Alright, that's enough right now for Honkai Star Rails. There's not really much else I really can explain right now because I've been explaining for the past 2 hours and I explained everything else I need y'all. This is all I just want to explain right now. There's gonna be a whole lot more explanations next week. There's gonna be a whole lot more to talk about. So be ready for that. So right now, I'm going to say class is adjourned right now. We're not gonna stop playing this a little bit because we haven't really said, and I kind of want to get started with the story mode. So we're gonna get started with the story mode a little bit. It was travel logs. Alright, let's get back to the story mode a little bit because I'm a little bit exhausted.
Why don't those people in the Go Home Club?
Last time we left off, if I remember correctly, Yai Miko just told us the origin story about everything
Miss
else.
March, please look straight into my eyes. Just like that.
And explain everything a little bit later
Now,
because I really don't feel like
I'll
listening
need
to
you
explanations.
repeat these next few lines
But
after
yeah,
me.
that's it for
And
all
do
the
so
Genshin,
in
the
the same
Honkai
tone
Star
of
Rails
voice.
lessons for now. We're gonna be talking a lot more. I'll talk a lot more about them later.
Okay.
The sky is blue, not a dazzling display of sparks.
The sky is blue, not a
Oh, that was my
dazzling
fault.
display
Other
of
one.
sparks.
Monster,
Though
monster, monster.
dazzling sparks may light up the night sky,
Mm.
they can never outshine the eternal silence of stars.
Are you kidding?
Oh yeah, take your time.
That's one
Fine.
sentence? Okay, though dazzling sparks may light up the night sky, they can never outshine the eternal silence of stars?
Very good.
Very good.
The internet is both an umbilical cord and a waste duct for the mind, through which humanity's thirst for elation gave birth to the twisted Sparksy.
Whoa there! That's a bit much. Maybe he can be the one to say it?
Okay. What are you guys up to?
These are the test
Right now we're
sentences
just gonna
I
do a little bit of the
improvised
story
according to
mode
guidelines
because,
from
you
the
know, I'm done.
Human and
I taught y'all
Intelligent
everything for
Racial
now,
Baseline.
but there's a lot more to teach. So today was the first lesson, so I covered a lot of different things I never thought I could be covered. Oh, we gotta cover some more.
At the moment they say
On Monday, we're gonna
Sparksy,
cover.
to check if they are
What are we gonna
infected
cover?
by a mimetic virus.
Yeah, we're gonna cover a little bit more because
I
of stuff.
passed the test, right?
Given how fascinating your reaction was, I clearly don't need to worry about you. Should you find yourself experiencing any live stream addiction withdrawal symptoms later, feel free to contact the Department of Aberration Defense staff. We'll provide you with a series of corrective behavioral treatments.
You're handling this like a real pro, Miss Kuchiba. Has this kind of thing happened before?
It's impossible to predict what will happen during the Phantasmoon Games. Once, a supplicant reversed the definitions of truth and lies, which nearly caused massive civil unrest. After that incident, we incorporated mimetic treatment into the Department of Aberration Defense's emergency safety protocols. Sparksy Khan didn't cause any casualties this time. But if your partner hadn't stopped Sparksy from spreading the virus, she might have turned into a calamity
Okay.
level aberration.
Got a lot of work to do.
Without proper containment measures, a calamity level aberration can destroy dozens of cities as it spreads. That's the scale we're talking about. That's the Department of Aberration Defense's term for them. It usually refers to Imaginae infused with wish power who have lost control and begun to run amok. Over time, though, it's become a label that gets slapped onto any hazardous entity.
You? An aberration? What are you talking about? Though, I gotta say, you do look pretty weird with that mask on.
Don't tell me you're a Cosmicon collective player. The Department of Aberration Defense's hazard ratings are nothing like the power ratings in some card game. Right then, that's all for the required checkup. If you're interested in aberration calamity threat levels and how they're classified, you might want to take a look at this document. However, do bear in mind that causing damage of the aforementioned scale during the Phantasm games will cause you to be classified as an aberration and dealt with accordingly. Before I leave, there's one more thing I need to tell you. Remember Lyndon Scott? The man who served as your tour guide. He was murdered.
What?
Be a whole story. Okay.
Yeah, the Scott we knew was, a really tenacious opponent.
We're sure. Both the ID and genetic information of the deceased match that of Mr. Scott's. You said he was once your opponent?
You don't suspect us, do you? I wouldn't exactly call Scott a friend, but we'd never do anything like that to him.
Okay.
Easy there, young lady. I haven't even started asking questions yet. Of course, there's no way the renowned heroes of the Express would harm some lowly IPC employee simply because they had a problem with him. More importantly, both of you have solid alibis. The initial results of our investigation suggest his murder might be connected to the
Okay.
Phantasmoon games.
Is
I'm
this
informing
doing
you
the story
both
mode
of
of
this
it?
to warn you to be extremely careful. The Phantasmoon games are far from a simple game intended for passing the time or relaxation.
All right.
Anyway, I wish you success. Farewell.
Scott, could he actually...
Look.
I just can't believe it. But it was Miss Kuchiba who told us, so it must be true. So, the Phantasmoon games. Pretty frightening, huh? What's your take? Yeah. Even though Scott pops up now and then to give us a bit of trouble, I still feel bad about him dying so suddenly during the Phantasmoon games like this. And without even knowing why.
If the killer is here for the Phantasmoon games, they might become our enemy soon.
Good.
The Phantasmoon games.
It's a piece. Okay. I'm gonna do a little bit of the story mode, then we're gonna basically take care of that a little bit more a different day.
Who would have imagined that the great March herself would be stopped at the doorstep in the very first round? Forget it. I'm not like you. I was never hero material to begin with. Normally my hands can't even keep up with my brain when I play video games. You're definitely the right person for the Phantasmoon games. It's just such a shame. We finally get a chance to vacation in Himeko's hometown. And I thought we'd make some happy memories together. But...
I'll triumph in the Phantasmoon games in your stead.
All right. But look, don't push yourself too hard, okay, you? Remember that we've got your back. Oh, right. Where are Himeko and Mr. Yang? They must be getting examined and interrogated too, right? Why don't you send Mr. Yang a message?
It's been crazy. Okay, now we're just doing the story mode right now to basically get a good understanding of what's going on, so we don't have to, you know, do anything crazy.
Mr.
But the
Yang
story
said he
mode's
wants to
happening
hear
right
what
now. We're
happened
just trying our
between
best.
Yoko and her dad.
I can't blame him for being curious. I
I think
really
last
want
time
to
I
know
left off
too.
in the story mode, I figured out that Yai Miko was part of a murder that happened 15 years ago. And it's been 15 years since then. Huh. It's crazy that a murder basically happened in this school, but this was 15 years ago. Then again, Japanese schools always have a weird kind of murder mystery kind of vibe going on. You don't have to question all that. Alright, I covered everything I could for you guys, so we gotta... Wait, what in the... Wait, how does that... Oh, okay, I see the problem. It's in the wrong hallway. This looks like a traditional high school, but also looks like a traditional high with a little bit of Japanese mixed and flair in it. It's kind of interesting how everything goes from this point on up. Okay. Alright. Wow, we are in the dark part. Hey, this is Yang.
You're here.
As I
Himiko
understand
hasn't
the whole
mentioned your
story
father
behind
at
it.
all in the time since I boarded. So, what is going on between them? As you were the only one with her at the time, you're the only one I can ask.
Yeah, it really threw me for a sec when you said Himiko's father. But when you think about it, it's only natural that Himiko has a father, right? Not everyone's like me, thawed out of an ice block.
Okay, what happened exactly? 15 years ago, the phantom games of that year came to be remembered as the blood stain of games. So many parents lost their children.
The blood-stained game.
Their dearest to them.
So many parents lost their children. So many people lost those dearest to them. One of the victims was my very own daughter. Upon my return, I stood before the grave where she was laid to rest. Her name was Himiko.
Name was Himiko.
So, this lady who bears her name, who exactly are you?
15 years ago, when I made up my mind to join this Phantom Moon Games, my father wasn't with me. Even as I fought for my life against the Herald of Death, my father was still off somewhere, wandering the cosmos. Strictly speaking, ever since I can remember, his presence in my life has been as thin as the air in space. So, I would ask you, who bears his name, who exactly are you?
Well. Look at you. What are you getting so worked up over? Just a joke. A joke. It's been 15 years after all. You've grown into such a
I'm more upset with the fact that can someone please explain to me how the hell happened 15 years ago? Like a chronological order?
What's with that gravestone I saw
Gravestone,
with your name
I saw
on
your
it?
name on it.
When you don't know if you'll live to see tomorrow, There's nothing strange about getting your affairs in order in advance, is there, Mr. Ryusuke?
Mr. Ryusuke? How could you be so formal with your own
You're
father?
being so full.
At
Yeah,
least call me
nah,
Dad
I don't
like
think you get
used
to be called
okay?
dad when you were barely in her life. I'm just gonna
Fall
go.
in. And you are...
I'm gonna go because I feel like this is a
Don't tell me.
father-daughter.
Himiko.
What? No, it's not my
Is
mom.
this your
Well,
child?
actually, well, she did raise me a little bit. Hold up. Okay, I'm not. I don't want to be a. Just, I'm kidding, but I'm just gonna fuck around a little bit.
Could you please stop making
Things
things
worse.
worse?
All right, I'm kidding, Bob. I'm kidding.
I haven't seen you in 15 years, and now I'm a grandfather. Wait. Who's the father?
That's enough.
All right, I'm not gonna talk too much
You
because it's
are
gonna be
looking
crazy.
At my colleague, a new generation of Trailblazer, my friend and my companion on the Astral Express. Do you understand now, Father?
You hear that? She called me father. Hello there, my friend. Sorry about that. I thought you were Himiko's son for a second there.
Okay.
You must forgive me. I'm just an old-timer who's lost touch with the times. I'm a painter. Most of my work involves traveling to different segmenta to complete commissions for my clients. Himiko. I know I've let too many chances to spend time with you slip away.
Just slip away? The first time we met was at Mother's funeral when I was already 6 years old. Let's put that aside for now. Were you also too busy with work when I was suffering from a weathering curse?
You might not believe me, but I've been running around for your sake all this time. All these years, I've been trapped in this room that represents the past that I imaginated. And I've never left it.
You didn't know about me becoming the Express's navigator either?
15 years. The Express never stopped here once. You didn't even leave behind so much as a single word to indicate you were still alive. And the Department of Aberration Defense completely sealed off all records of what happened during those Phantom Moon games. I did hear many rumors about the Astral Express, though. I even saw the navigator's name. At first, I thought it was just someone else with the same name. And even when curiosity drove me to look up your picture, I still didn't dare believe that the woman so full of poise and grace was my daughter. She'd grown up safe, becoming a living legend in her own right. I thought about contacting the Express, but what if their navigator was just someone who happened to share the same name? I've been clinging to an absurd notion that if I never sought the answer, there was still a 50-50 chance my daughter was still alive. But if I found the answer, and it was no, then she would truly be dead. So, Himiko, how did you...
I'd rather not tarry here too long. I'll be taking my leave now, Dean. The Express has defeated the supplicant that occupied this school and prevented another tragedy like the one 15 years ago. Now it's time for you to fulfill the duties you failed in back then. Go comfort those students, and see if you can't figure out how to deal with the media bombardment while you're at it.
Failed in my duties.
He's still mad at me. Wait,
still
what?
mad at
How did you fail? I'm very confused. How did you fail?
Can we talk?
I'm very confused on how you failed as a father. Well, actually, no, wait. Never mind.
Sorry, kid.
I was never mentioned.
Might be a bit abrupt,
Tita.
but
Nope. She
Himiko
never asked for
ever
the
mentioned
supreme
her
name.
surname to you?
She rarely talks about herself.
I'm a failure of a
I
father.
failed as a father.
I
I broke her heart. But it's like it happened 15 years
exactly
ago. I
happened
can't
15
believe she
years
actually
ago?
survived the curse.
I can't believe it. She actually survived.
I'm actually kind
the
of curious how
weathering
he
curse.
broke her heart. Wait, hold on. Let me listen to this man's voice real quick. Oh, yeah, but
Have you heard the tale of the legendary painter Graphia, who hid everything on this planet's surface within a scroll? It is said that to achieve such a monumental feat, she made a forbidden exchange, sacrificing both her own life and that of her descendants, resulting in the weathering curse. Few descendants carrying the Graphia bloodline have lived past 30. Most of them wither like flowers while they're still young, skin cracking and peeling like dried paint. Himiko was no exception. She was tormented by the curse for years. The Elixir Seekers' folk remedies, the Intelligentsia's guild treatments. I tried them all, but nothing could reverse the curse. All the time spent searching for cures only resulted in me not being by her side when she needed me the most. In the end, I am nothing but a useless father. I'm just a useless son-in-law who married into the family. Strictly speaking, I can't really be considered a Graphia descendant. You're right. I just didn't realize it quickly enough. How she got through it, how she survived, none of that's important. What matters is that my daughter is back. That's all I need. If I may ask a small favor, would you mind showing me where my daughter works? I want to make up for all the care I failed to give her all those years.
I don't understand what he's basically going through. I understand
I wanna
why
get to
he
know
was
my
obsessed with
daughter
trying to
better.
get rid of that curse. But the curse says you can't live past 30. And Himiko is
Truly
actually, no, wait. How
memorable
old is
father-daughter
Himiko?
reunion. Brings up some
Oh.
memories of my own home as well.
There goes Mr. Yang with that knowing look again. Just what kind of parent-child relationship are we talking about anyway?
Seeing is all
When I
knowing
was
and
a
everything
child,
else. When I
my
was a
parents
child,
were
my
also
parents
always busy with work
was busy
and
with
were
work
unable to
and
spare
were
a
able to
moment for
spare
me.
a moment for me.
As a child,
As a child, I
I
couldn't help but feel
resentful. It wasn't until I became
It
a
wasn't
father
until I
myself
became a
that I
father
understood how
myself
they
that I
felt
understood
when they
how
were
they felt when they were forced to sacrifice the time
we could have spent together.
So, did you already promise to
I can
get
understand
Mr.
where they come.
Ryusuke a
I
tour of the
understand
Express?
money parents sacrificing their children and basically their time with their kids because they want their kids to have a good life. They don't want their kids to have the same life they had. So they sacrifice spending time with their kids and basically sacrifice everything so they can make sure they don't suffer the way they suffered. Especially when you experience being a father, you understand that you have to make sacrifices in order for your kids to be happy. It sucks. Trust me, it sucks. But be a little bit You gonna know, cause you gonna learn. Hey, what's up? How you doing? I'm sorry if I can't pronounce your name. I can't pronounce your name, but how you doing? Thank you for the first time chat. I really appreciate it. All right, back to the story mode.
I thought as much. After all, it's Himeko's dad. So, where is he?
Ah, everyone's here.
Sorry for keeping you all waiting. I'm truly grateful for.
I'm truly
This man is.
to all of you.
How you doing? I'm gonna try to pronounce your name. If I pronounce it wrong, please let me know.
She's the one who's been taking care of us.
Yeah, no, I can't do it. Okay, hold on. Let me try to see if I can pronounce this. All right, I'm gonna try to pronounce your name. So if I say it wrong, please let me know. I'm gonna try it. I don't know if that's gonna work or not. I'm gonna name it daily. I know I'm gonna name it daily. That's long. I'm gonna name it daily. Is that how you pronounce it, right? I'm gonna name it daily. If I pronounce it right, please let me know. It took me like a minute to pronounce it, but I really think it'd be a little bit like the way I think. I'm gonna name it daily.
Really lives up
Can
to
I
its
call you
reputation.
Amma instead? Because it seems like it's a little bit more easier to remember all that. Because Amma is a pretty cool short name.
To be expected,
But yeah,
of
thank you
course,
for the first time chat. I really appreciate
it's the
it.
place where my daughter works. By the way, what's the pay like for a navigator? And does a position come with insurance and an annual bonus?
Talk about parental love. First thing out of his mouth is asking about her salary. Like I'd have a clue. Help! A little backup here?
Alright. Okay, a little bit weird.
Hey, that's not totally true. We get some spending money every time we stop somewhere.
What? No income.
It's a little bit weird, but it does make it a
Don't
little
tell
bit
me
better.
that everyone
Alright,
working for
I
the
am a
Astral Express is actually doing volunteer work.
I mean, I guess you could say that. But actually, it's more like... I'm butchering the explanation. Anyway, it's nothing like what you're thinking.
Mr. Ryosuke, please rest assured. None of the Express crew ever lack for money. We not only receive support from members of the Genius Society, but also from prosperous commercial worlds, such as the Planet of Festivities.
Ah, good, good. Hearing you say that is a huge relief, Mr. Yang. Speaking of which, what kind of work does being a navigator generally entail?
Don't you underestimate Himeko either. Her daily duties include, charting navigation routes, calibrating warp jumps, and technical maintenance. Not to mention she's always guiding the Nameless on missions.
Oh, my daughter is really something
Alright,
else.
basically playing a whole bunch of Honkai Star Rails, still doing it pretty good.
Of course. Every time we return safely from a trailblazing expedition, it's all thanks to Himeko's guidance and protection. She's the backbone of the Astral Express.
Okay.
Hey, come on. You're just trying to stir up trouble. If Himeko's the backbone of the Express, then our conductor is the absolute cutest and hardest working of all. Right, Pom Pom?
Oh? We got a new passenger?
Hey, Weeper the Fallen Angel. Thank you for the first time chat. Really appreciate it. Welcome on in. This is I am Miko's father. Why do you feel so familiar?
How are you, Mr. Ryu?
It's actually pretty well. They basically very similar on how everything works, but yeah.
So you must be my daughter's superior, huh? Well,
Yeah, thank you for the first time chat. I really appreciate it.
all this time.
Reaping the Fallen Angel. That's actually a pretty cool kick-ass name.
That's way too formal. It's Himiko who's been taking care of the express and everyone on it.
He's...
Okay.
What is he doing on the...
Thank you for the first time chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you. What do you mean? What are you thinking me for? I didn't even do anything crazy.
Curious about your daily work, so I asked your colleagues.
I didn't do anything. What are you trying to thank me for?
I know I didn't ask your permission first. Just please don't be mad, Himiko.
Mad? Why would I be mad?
Okay, that's a
Mr.
little bit
Ryusuke,
different.
welcome aboard the Astral Express. Is there anything else you'd like to
For the
see?
compliment. Yeah, your name is badass as hell. I've seen a lot of different names, but yours is badass as hell. Yeah, I also know how you basically supposed to talk to your daughter, but this is not beyond me. I'm this is beyond black magic. But yeah, thank you for the first time chat. I really appreciate it.
But it's been way too long since we last saw each other. As your father, I want to get to know you better. Make up for all the time we've lost. At least while you're staying here. Please allow me to show you some of the
Sorry,
fatherly
good.
care
I
and
think
devotion
Yamiko should talk to her dad, but at this point, it's completely up to her. It's up to her because I don't understand how this is gonna work.
You go to the party car. Shush, get the drinks ready.
Shush. All right. I'll go make some tea.
That's
All
just
right.
her
I'm a little bit nervous to work on my new job because my brother used to work there, but the way he's been telling me, it's a little bit weird.
Oh,
So I don't know how this is gonna go.
Come with us.
Come on, other people are here. Oh. But I don't know the shoot. I don't know if this is a good idea for me to go with them, but apparently I'm a child in all this, so it'd be weird.
About the Phantom Moon games, not just personal matters.
Okay, well then.
They left. Whoa.
But yeah,
The first
got a
time
lot of things I gotta take care of.
Himiko
This is
be
going
that
to be one
cold
of them.
to anyone.
The only problem is having a grand old time. All right, I covered pretty much everything I could in Honkai Star Rails, so I cover a lot. I'm probably I didn't cover everything, but I covered the good majority of it, like a good 20%. I didn't cover everything. I just covered a good 20%. We're gonna talk about a lot more other stuff later on, a lot more interesting stuff, and then we're gonna talk about characters and team ups and everything else. So that's gonna be a long lesson. It's going to be a lot of lessons.
About thanks to the express crew, Miss Himiko.
Your department's but besides,
Indeed.
Am I a good person?
Because our department is
if the
I feel like I'm a good
IPC
person.
of course.
Yeah, I'm a good person. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty good. I can't wait to post these clips later. Okay. I'm gonna explain what these are another day too. I told you about warps and how to wish everything. I'm gonna show you how the warp wishes work so I can basically get a good understanding how they work. So we're gonna see if we can get her. I had no luck getting a 5-star character in Genshin Impact, but hopefully I can get a 5-star character in Honkai Star Rails. By the looks of it, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna explain what this is next time too, because it's gonna be a huge surprise for y'all, but it's gonna be next time. It's because they're gonna be pretty fun to make. Yeah, the reason I say get a light cones are gonna be easy is because you can wish for them multiple times and you're gonna keep getting light cones. It's like getting an easy amount of light cones that you need for certain characters. I already showed you how to build those characters and how to build and everything else with what's going on. So your face. All right. And this is my first 4-star character that I don't really need, but it's close enough. I'm not gonna explain how that works, but you already pretty much know what's going on with that one. Trying to get a 5-star character. Okay, you see, you're giving me all these characters that I don't really need. I need a 4-star character. I'm gonna have a fun time explaining every single character later on. I do not believe it can resist. Come on. How hard is it to get one 5-star character? Is it really that hard? Of course it is. What am I saying? Okay, let me see if I can basically view how many characters I had before. Oh, the drop rate is 50%. The percent is actually doing a pretty good job. Alright, starting mode to continue. I know they're based out with a father-daughter bonding situation, but I really feel like I shouldn't get involved. But yeah, sure. Why am I here? Because apparently I'm a good person. And a good son to my mother.
Silence between a father and daughter. Nothing's better than a cup of hot water. The person who drinks it will yelp, "Hot!" and be immediately met with a concerned, "How could you be so careless?" from the other party. And just like that, the conversation starts flowing. Friendly reminder, that is not a joke, but a practical ice-breaking tip.
Your robot is hilarious. I'm surprised how relaxing and comfy the work environment is here.
Got it. I'll make myself scarce.
Being a nameless is neither relaxing nor comfy. Most of the time, we are facing down Void Rangers from the Antimatter Legion, bugs left by the Swarm disaster, Borisin, and various organizations that are suspicious of the Express or have malicious intentions for us.
That dangerous? Huh. Maybe this trip home is a great chance to quit your job, huh? Talk about coincidence. Just so happens I'm getting on in years. And Graphia Academy is in need of a new dean.
Sony has officially raised the prices of the PS5s again. And they're going to be raising them in about 6 days from now, April 2nd. Right after April 1st. And you want to know why I'm pissed about this? Well, let me explain. The prices are much higher than before. So if you want a disc PlayStation, well then let me tell you this. If you want a regular PlayStation, that's gonna run you $600. And that's just with the disc. And if you want a digital PlayStation, well, I'm sorry, you're gonna have to take out a mortgage on your house. That's $600. And if you want a PlayStation Pro, well, I hope you basically got no medical bills and you're ready to be in crippling debt. That's $900. Now, you see, I can save that. I don't mind saving that. I'm lucky I got my PlayStation a little bit earlier than I should. I got a little bit earlier. Don't tell me it's so fluffy across the blue.
I never thought you'd be into comics.
They say got it a little bit earlier. So I am extremely happy about that. I got my PlayStation early and I have to thank my mom for getting it when the prices were still pretty cheap. And I got it and it was basically be with me for 5. Well, I got this back in, I think I got this in 2021. It was a little bit after it came out, like a year later. It was hard to find it, but I got it. And I think I could probably find one online for cheap. Well, let me see. I get one now. My game's up. So target. Oh, the best thing y'all can do is basically get a PS5 that's refurbished. Or you just go on eBay and try to find one, so you don't really go too far. Alright, we got 10 more minutes before the stream's coming over to the end, so basically over that. But yeah, so I'm not going to be on tomorrow because it's my off day for the next 2 days, so I'm not going to be streaming or anything else.
Like
but
I said
yeah.
before, we're here for the Phantasmoon Games.
So, the Phantasmoon Games 15 years ago were the reason you were able to overcome the Weathering Curse.
$600, $340.
That makes sense. For those of us who haven't experienced the Ionic game firsthand, it's just something from the history books.
Okay, so you want a PlayStation, you just have to go on eBay and find one. I'm pretty sure eBay is going to raise the prices over there too.
The Ionic game would turn into a blood sacrifice overnight. The
I hate
Herald
myself,
of Death
but she's right.
was a heartless madman. If I hadn't defeated him then, all of Duomension City would have become his slaughterhouse. During the first few years of my journey, I relived that evening every single night in my dreams.
Yeah,
The
that was all
color
about
of
how
that
to
twilight.
fight. In the first few years of my journey, I relived the events every single night in my dreams. The color of the twilight pink with
Blended
blood.
with terror and
Okay, that is terrifying.
The victims were twisted like clay into grotesque shapes, like paint tubes that had been snapped, one after the other.
Oh, I hate this so much.
He reveled in the colors splattered everywhere and wanted the whole world to be his canvas.
Oh.
Even if I could avenge his victims, in the end, it won't bring them back to life. The entire thing is like a heavy piece of baggage. Only by letting it go can I travel the road ahead more easily.
You did your best, and I'm glad to see you made it back here safe and sound.
I thought I'd never come back. But the times have changed. The conditions to hold the Phantasmoon Games have been met again. However, to hold 2 games in just 15 years? That in itself is far from normal. Just like 15 years ago, the IPC wants to control everything. However, a game woven by the most fickle of eons is destined to slip through everyone's grasp. I received a report from the Department of Aberration Defense. I'm sure he must also have heard. There's been a brutal incident in Dovebrook District. Someone massacred everyone at the headquarters of the Sinwish Syndicate.
Alright.
A signature
No.
that only the Herald of Death would use. The Bloody Bloom.
Oh, great.
What? The Herald of Death is still alive?
I'm actually looking kind of forward for the Spider. I'm just gonna say this now. Spider-Man 3 is gonna be goated as hell because it's going to be getting a lot of villain type characters. What I'm terrified of is how this is gonna work.
The rules dictate that the same person cannot become a supplicant twice.
Are you saying we've got a copycat?
That's right. The Herald of Death has a copycat. But what I find even more worrying is that this Phantasmoon Games has caught the attention of something even more terrifying than the Herald of Death. I believe that whether or not this Herald of Death copycat has a connection to the Phantasmoon games, defeating him presents an excellent opportunity for you to demonstrate the resolve of the Nameless to the whole.
I don't know if I'm gonna be able to make a PC in the future. I always wanted one just in case I never lose anything, but that's gonna take a long. That's a dream I'm trying to make happen.
As for you, Dad, have any clients commissioned you lately? It'd be best if you left this world for a while.
May I take that as my daughter showing concern for her dad?
You can take it as a safety advisory from the Astral Express. Also, as he has already become a supplicant and joined the Phantasmoon games, he will have my full support. I'd like him to temporarily keep the mask of elation that has been passed down through our family.
Too late for me to raise any objections at this point, right? Sounds good. The mask stays with the kid.
Thank you. Would you like another drink?
Got it. Next, it's time to show me the way out, isn't it? I've definitely overstayed my welcome. For most of my life, I couldn't be there for my daughter. And now that I finally have the chance, she wants me to leave. In that case, I'll be on my way. Himiko, the Graphia family has a number of records about the Phantasmoon games, passed down through the
Okay, so yeah, a couple more minutes before you're all done with this stream, and I basically did a little bit of the story mode. I'm gonna teach a lot more basically on Monday, so be prepared for a lot of things, but I don't know how this is gonna go.
I apologize.
My father's a little bit of tourist, seems to make things awkward for everyone. What's wrong with his being exploration? The man is old.
Let's head to the parlor car.
Let's head to the parlor car and check on Linda. Arch.
Now
My
that
father's
my
only
father's
girl.
gone, we can all relax.
I honestly, look, I want to chat with you. I want to ask you a question. I get that she does. I get that her father's pissed. Yes, I told him to head home for now. After all, I was gonna.
After all, what is going on with
him? I'm really sorry, everyone, for bringing my personal family matters onto the Express.
Not at all.
It's your family. He actually seems like a pretty nice guy.
Madam Pearl sent a message to the Express just.
I like Mr. B. I kind of like. I like Mr. He's a good father. He's a basically jumbly old man, though. Wait, how old is young Miko? I think she's like 20, but no, she should be 30 by now because she should be in her 30s by now. And this man's like in his early 50s to 60s. He has a long life ahead of him. Golden years. When you basically reach those age in your 60s to 50s, it's the golden years of your life. It's about to reach the final gate. Also means it's time for you to. I don't know how long until I reach the 50s and 60s, but I honestly can't wait. See what happens.
They've cornered half the market.
I think I'll be dead by then, though.
So that's where the Pearl in Pearlux comes from. It's a play on her name.
Did Pearl mention what she wanted to talk about?
She didn't say much, but she specifically mentioned wanting to discuss the developments regarding the Phantasmoon games.
So just a little bit more.
Could provide us with a bit of help.
Helping her opponents in the Ionic game? Oh, looks like she realizes we are all in the same boat. Perhaps she has also realized that the Phantasmoon games cannot be artificially manipulated.
We may be able to get a clearer picture of Pearl's intentions after we meet with her.
Okay.
Think about it. You've already crossed paths with key figures from numerous factions, and even built rapport with some. You're already a capable Nameless who can more than hold your own. Though she holds a high administrative position on this planet, do not forget, she is also one of the 10 Stonehearts. You've already dealt with Aventurine on numerous occasions, so you should have ample experience handling members of the 10 Stonehearts.
Hey, don't worry. If things do get messy, yours truly is here to save the day.
Looks like March wants to visit too.
I'm just trying to look out for him here. Even if things do go sideways, girl wouldn't dare get mad at an adorable young lady like me, right?
I can't say.
Well then, I'll leave this meeting to you two.
Aren't you coming with
One's
us,
in this
Himeko?
one's.
I'd like to talk with my father. Didn't he say he would hand over the records about the Phantasm Moon games from our family history to me? And honestly, isn't this a good chance for you youngsters to handle things independently?
I understand. In that case, he, March, and I will be heading out now.
Oh, score! A private car! So, where are we getting picked up?
You should be familiar with it. It's just under the giant gate next to the At Plaza.
Isn't that where we first met Sparksy? Since we're getting chauffeured there, why not just come straight to us?
Okay. Gotta finish this, going to finish this also. We get it all done.
Perfect. I've been wanting to stop by the comic store to grab a copy of Fluffy Across the Blue.
Alright, that's enough for now. Okay, guys, so that is it for today, and that's going to be it for the next 2 days because I'm going to be chilling and relaxing as the weekend. So if you can basically take these videos, that's going to teach you guys a little bit more about whatever that's going on. There's anything that's going on. So I covered all of it. I'm going to post all these clips on my YouTube channel, so you can basically look at my YouTube channel over there, and I'm going to post every single one of these clips so y'all can basically get a good understanding of Honkai Star Rails. You can also come back to my Twitch account and basically watch these videos if y'all want to. Not going to stop y'all. So it's going to be a lot of interesting stuff I'm going to cover. I'm going to cover some more stuff later on. Basically, a lot more things. That's it, basically. But I'm covering a lot more stuff later on. It's going to be pretty good. I honestly cannot wait. I honestly cannot wait to keep going with you guys. Today was our first lesson of Honkai Star Rails, and I covered a good amount of it, like break effects, different kinds of elements, different types of pathways. So I covered like a good amount of it, and light cones. So that's a lot more to cover than I thought. I'm going to cover a little bit more about artifacts and different tool sets artifacts tomorrow. Not tomorrow, but on Monday. And I'm going to cover a little bit more other stuff as well. Other than that, I hope you all have a blessed day. I want to give a shout out to Reaper the Fallen Angel. I want to give a shout out to Ahmed. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. Or a shout out to Kimberly. I want to give a shout out to Little World. I really appreciate you guys, and Demon Sniper. I appreciate you guys for tuning into the stream. I really do. I'm going to be more lessons on Monday, so prepare for that, and I will catch you all later. Enjoy your weekend, my children. Bye-bye.